going out? Is it working? There we go. Pull this up again. When I die, I won't become a ghost, because I'll have nowhere to haunt this town. Oh, I gotta start over. This is awkward. Because I have armrests on this chair. I could have grabbed the one without armrest, but then there's no point because then I'll just be playing the game without armrest, and I don't want to do that. When I die, I won't become a ghost, because I'll have nowhere to haunt this town and fuck my dirty friends. And they're strange and they like you, gotta be a stranger, but they're just strangers. Drum gets up. How will he feel about this one? The dream throws up. He didn't feel too good this time. He's got it all. He's got it figured out. Dream in the hall, back in the hospital. I'm not concerned. He'll get it straight this time, and if he doesn't, fuck it. I don't know how to do the chorus on that one. I didn't practice it well. I muted it. I muted the string with my fat fingers. Yeah, the Doom song, by the way. I was like certain I'd heard it in like an Anthrax thing, but I can't find the Anthrax song that I remember it from. And I love that Doom song. I don't even remember what it's called, but that riff is so easy. You just get on the E string, it's open, and then you go an octave up, so on the A string, that's 7th fret, 5th fret, 3rd fret, 7th. Then you repeat the same thing, only it's the A string open, and you play the same notes on the D string. Well, same frets. So it's E, E, D, E, G, E, F sharp. Then it's A, A, G, A, F, A, E, and it's kind of chromatic. And I wonder if it would sound better if I played it on the 4th fret. Let me try that. You can really hit like any of those, any of the notes from the 2nd fret to the 4th fret, and it sounds good. Enough time has been wasted on the guitar. Sorry about that. It's time to get to the real crux of this. We're gonna play Never Seven some more. The first day, well, really the first week, is really boring because I'm gonna spoil this right now. It repeats itself over and over again. So you just have the issue of here. Let me just copy this. I have to like the picture of Ranma. Ranma is great. I've been followed. There we go. That's weird. It hasn't updated my description. Let me go to my channel and see if it's been updated. Twitch has been weird since the leak happened. So yeah, it's updated there, but the link hasn't been updated. Very strange. Very, very strange. So, let's see. What do I do? Click this. And then I click that drive. And then I go to this folder. You're welcome. Then I find the letter I for infinity. Then I find never 7 win 10. Then never 7.exe. Then I allow it to run in Windows 7 mode. It has to be in windowed mode because if it's in full screen mode, I can't see anything. Full screen mode breaks the game. There we go. So how is everyone today? I'm gonna... Oh shit, it blacked out. I'm gonna continue where we left off. And... yeah, I want to load that. I wonder how long I've been watching Haruka. Until Haruka leaves Princess Peach, it's as if my soul was strained from my body. I notice Haruka going far off into the distance. I panic and chase after her. At the same time I catch up to Haruka, I see Yuka and Noihiko heading towards us from the other side. Found you! Guess where did you go? Jeez! She tells us that they went looking for us, but came back after searching Moon Beach. Because they didn't find us, she said they'd decided to wait back at the lodge. I quickly come up with an excuse and say, we finally met up here, so don't need to go back to the lodge. So the four of us decided to leave for the shopping district. Considering how deserted it is, leave for might not be the best way to put it. The moment we arrive at the top of the bank, we are rewarded with grand scenery that stretches out as far as the eye can see. The crimson-colored sky starts fading into even darker colors. We're walking by a long crescent-shaped beach. Its sand's almost as smooth as velvet. There's nobody here except for us. Only the sound of soothing waves crashing against the shore. The sea breeze gently brushes my nose. It carries a sweet smell that is rather captivating. So this is Moon Beach. I can't quite hide the awe in my words. Well, didn't I tell you? This was a good idea? I read that bad. Yuka says this with pride. That's right. On our way to the shopping district, Yuka suggested that we climb the bank on the crest side of the road to see this sight. Yeah, you were right. I say this sincerely. You're unlikely to see such a beautiful sunset in the city. I haven't felt this moved by such a breathtaking scenery in a long time. The distance from the top of the embankment to the sandy bottom is about 2/3 my height. Despite the height, Yuka easily gets down onto the beach. Oyuhika and I go after her. Then at that moment... I hear a loud thud from behind me, causing me to turn around. On the sand is Haruka, who has hit the ground. It seems that she messed up her landing and fell. She looks confused. She might not understand what happened. I walk over to her side and grab her hand, then help her up. Are you all right? As if nothing happened, she gives me a curt nod in reply. However, it's clear that she's definitely embarrassed. She's blushing. Before I know it, I've turned around. I notice that Haruka's the only person still loitering around at the top of the bank. Wait, didn't I just help her up? Why is she still there? I break into a sweat. My head is racked with confusion from my inability to comprehend the situation. While this is happening, she slowly doubles over. She bends her knees and grips the edge of the embankment. Judging from her stance, I already know what's going to happen next. Wait! Laura can warn her she's already in midair. And then Haruka loses her balance and falls flat onto the beach. A cloud of dust soundlessly stirs up into the empty sky. And this scene is definitely what happened a few seconds ago. She looks confused. I walk over to her side, grab her hand, and help her up. Are you all right? I can't hide my shock. Although Haruka gives the short nod, it's clear that she's just trying to cover up her own embarrassment. I notice that she's blushing. As if trying to cover up her trembling, she quickly gets to her feet and moves past me. For a little while, I stand frozen in place, dumbfounded. Is it deja vu? No. That's a phenomenon where after an event occurs, you're under the delusion you've already experienced it before. But it definitely wasn't like that. I saw her fall before. She actually did. I saw myself helping her up before it really happened too. And what the hell was it? I quickly look up to see the red western skies are burning dark red. The waves crashing against the shore, bringing with them echoes of the roaring ocean.
へえ、こんなところに喫茶店があるんだ。
Wow, to think there'd be a cafe here. Yuka says this on our way to the shopping district. As we walk the paved road alongside the coastline. I didn't notice it until she said it. There's indeed a lone cafe erected by the road. A two-story building made of wood with a blue triangular roof and whitewashed walls. The walls are given a rosy hue by the setting sun, gently shining on it.
センスは悪くないな。
It's got pretty good taste. Ayuhiko says this. He's right. Thanks to the fact that it's facing the water and you can hear the pleasant sound of tiny waves rushing up against the shore, it's reminiscent of an Italian restaurant overlooking the Arctic Sea. The sign above the entrance reads Luna Beach in big letters. Luna Beach, huh? The front door has a plate with the word open written on it. After a little while, we stopped walking as we take in the sight of the cafe, interweaving itself with the late afternoon sky.
あれ？もしかして。
Could you be? Huh? I search for the owner of the voice. It sounds familiar. It came from the back of the cafe. The girl's standing there with the broom in her hands. She's staring right at us. This girl is... She placed the broom against the wall and runs over to us.
確かシーフードピザを注文した人たち。
You're the people that ordered the seafood pizza, right? She's the delivery girl who gave us the pizza for lunch.
ああ、その説はどうも。
Thanks for doing that. Right. Thanks for doing that. I gotta give him a deep voice. As he finally recognizes her, a crooked grin slowly emerges on his face. He must feel real awkward right now, considering how he lied about his identity earlier.
何？知り合い？
What's this? You two know her? Oh, I see. Yuka and Haruka didn't meet the girl back then. Remember the pizza we ate for lunch? She's the one that delivered it.
はあ、そうなんだ。
Ah, okay. Yuka gives a small nod of understanding.
いつもご利用いただきありがとうございます。
Thank you very much for your continued patronage. The girl bows her head. I see. So she works at this shop. Huh. Now that I think about it, Haruka? Haruka has given the girl a hard stare. She looks a bit pale. Haruka! When I call her name, Haruka's glance turns towards me. Her eyes are pleading with me to do something, but I don't know what.
ねえ、立ち話っていうのもなんだし。
Why don't we rest a little here? She throws out her proposition before we can speak. Everybody's attention immediately towards her.
そうだな。ちょっと
Right.
歩き疲れた
I'm
し
tired from all the walking.
そうしようか。
Yeah, let's do that.
あ、うん、
Yeah. Yeah, do it. This gives Yuka's idea 2 votes of approval.
誠はどう？
What about you two? Sure. I don't mind. I'm too worried about Haruka right now to really care much.
はるかは？
Haruka, are you also okay with this? Yuka asked Haruka last. Naturally, she thinks she'll agree.
私
I'll pass.
は
I'll go back.
なんで？
Why? Yuka's bewildered by that unexpected reply.
どうしたのはるかちゃん。どこか具合
What's
悪い？
wrong, Haruka-chan? Are you not feeling well? Haruka shakes her head.
だったらどうして？だ
Then why?
ったらいいじゃない。
If that's the
理由
case,
もないの
then
に
just say.
行動させ
You
て
don't have a reason.
ほら、
You can't go off on your own.
途中なんだし。
Come on, it's a group activity.
きっとはるかちゃんも疲れているんだよ。
Haruka-chan must also be exhausted. I bet you'll feel a lot better if you rest here for a bit.
そうそう。ね、はるか。
Yeah, come on, Haruka.
うん。
Alright. Finally, Haruka nods, but it seems as if she's reluctant. She's just tired. That might be it. She did this earlier, at tennis. She was alone even at the lodge. The girl's inexperienced with interacting with people, so this camp must be a tiring experience. The way Haruka glares at the delivery girl irks me a bit, but I think this is probably because of her aforementioned exhaustion.
とりあえず。
So does everyone agree?
ね。
Yeah, it looks that way. She replies to my answer with a satisfied smile.
それじゃあ、4名様、ルナビーチへご案内。
I'll give you for a tour of Luna Beach. The girl guides us through Luna Beach's entrance.
お姉ちゃん、お客さんだよ。
One-chan, we have customers. One-chan?
あら、くるみが客寄せなんて珍しいじゃない。
What is this? It's rare for Kurumi to attract such customers. The woman behind the counter gives us a welcoming smile. She looks like she's in her early 20s. Her short hair and apron suit her well. She gives me the impression of having a rather motherly aura. You said One-san. Does that mean you two are sisters?
そうだよ。お姉ちゃんとくるみは血を分けた実の姉妹だよ。
One-chan and Kurumi are true blood-related sisters. The girl called Kurumi sticks her chest out and giggles. I don't know if that's really something to be proud about. Huh. Haruka. Is it my imagination? I thought I saw Haruka give the woman behind the counter a terribly flustered look. She is silently staring at the window at the scenery. Her face is expressionless. She's like a soulless doll. So it really was just my imagination after all.
じゃあ、
And
あ
if
な
your
たのお姉
sisters,
ちゃんがここの店長さんで、
this shop's
こ
manager,
のお店をやってい
if
る
your。sister's this shop manager, does that mean you two own this?
ああ、違う違う。私はただ
That's not it. I'm just working here
し
part-time,
てるだけなの。
and Kurumi is working as my assistant. The woman behind the counter answers Yuka's question before she finishes. Hmm?
申し遅れました。
I'm sorry, where are my manners?
この店でバイ
I'm Izumi Morino,
森の泉。
part-time worker for the shop.
こっちはくるみ。
This is Kurumi. She's my little sister, and she sometimes helps me with the
手伝いをやっ
shop.
てもらってるの。
Come on, Kurumi. Let's go ahead and properly say hello. The woman named Izumi urges the girl to introduce herself.
森のくるみです。
I'm Kurumi
な
Morino.
ので、
Right now, since Kurumi's on school break, she comes here to have fun with Oni-chan.
お店が忙しい時は
When the shop gets busy, Kurumi helps out with various things.
今日もお昼に団体客が入って
Today we had a party of tourists come in for lunch.
なかったら
Without Kurumi, we would have really had a lot of trouble with them. Kurumi is singing her own praises.
くるみちゃん偉いね。
Yuki pats Kurumi on the head and rustles it through her hair.
くるみ、もうすっかり大人だから。
After all, Kurumi's all grown up. She says that, but she looks quite the opposite, as she enjoys having her head petted. Spoil a child too much, and she'll grow up spoiled. Well, that's my outside opinion. Izumi Morino-san and Kurumi Morino. The Morino sisters, huh? Morino. The surname Morino triggers something within me. Where have I heard it before? Is it just my imagination? Before long, Izumi explains to us that the real shop manager is absent because he's in Italy shopping for tableware. So for now, Izumi is managing it all by herself. The owner apparently leaves the store for unsupervised for trips like this.
だから実質店長代理ってとこかしら。
I'm the store's substitute manager. Izumi-san says this with a sweet smile. That gentle grin and her older woman charm causes my heart to start pounding. I try to distract myself by surveying the shop. Oh, there's a joke in there somewhere. The interior and exterior look like they were inspired by an Italian restaurant. The seats by the counter and the tables, as well as the fixtures placed here and there, go well with the store's atmosphere. Against the wall is an old-fashioned jukebox, or an old jazz hit from several decades ago is playing. The store's interior is rather relaxed. From the window facing the sea, you can see the coast of Moon Beach, giving the narrow shop's interior a sense of depth and openness. There's a door in the back which seems to lead to an open terrace outside. However, the restaurant's counter gives me the impression that the place could easily be mistaken for a bar. When it's nighttime, the shop becomes both a restaurant and a bar. Izumi-san explains this to me when she notices me observing the shop's layout. Am I that easy to read? Is that so? Wow. Wow! I have to take a break from this. I have to take a break from the chill vibes. Pull up a joke video. Because that is hilarious. Youth soundtrack. I'm gonna open this. Oh. Pause it. Then I'm gonna switch the window capture to that. Ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba. This is the person that's re-uploaded it. It's an old machinima video. It's ancient.
Hey dude, check this out. This is the game the ESRB had to make a whole new rating for. Oh really? Let me see. It's like nothing you've ever seen. It's nothing you've ever wanted to see. It's Gears of Halo Theft Auto 5.
What?
Gears of Halo Theft Auto 5.
That sounds cool.
You bet it is, and we've ensured nothing can be more emotionally disturbing than this game.
Cool.
This game is full of so much explicit content, it's been rated J.O.
J.O.?
Jesus only.
That's sick.
And you thought Gears of Halo Theft Auto 4 was bad. This game was so disturbing, half the ESRB chairman committed suicide on the spot.
Why?
Most of them couldn't stand stabbing a nun in the face with a number 2 pencil.
What a bunch of pussies.
And that's just level 1.
What's the background story?
You're an ex-zookeeper who's tired of taking everyone's shit, and the only way you can get what you want is through excessive provocative behavior.
Neat.
Choose from 4 different professions.
Like what?
Crazy crack dealer, bloodthirsty pimp, corrupt politician, or drunk serial killer.
Corrupt politician? That sounds lame.
What? Make big budget decisions, steal tax money, even turn off the power for the orphanages. What are they gonna do? Tell their parents?
Whoa, sweet.
This sandbox game lets you do anything, and we mean anything. What other game can you beat your dog into a coma, take a dump in a urinal, then have unrestrained, shameless sex with your boss's mother?
Nothing.
That's right, Jimmy. Here's a clip of gameplay. This character's a pimp trying to get money from his fat bitch. Hey, fat bitch, where's my money?
Money, I don't got your money. I don't even know where it is.
Dumb bitch doesn't have his money. Now this is where you can make decisions that impact the rest of the story. You can choose A. Right hook, B. Abandon her child, C. Kill her boyfriend, or D. Push her out a window. Aha, looks like he's chosen secret option E. All of the above. Sorry, little baby, hope you like growing up on the streets. Hey, you that fat bitch's boyfriend?
Yeah, but...
That's the kind of kick-ass gameplay we aim for.
Hells yeah.
This game has already been banned in 43 different countries, and it hasn't even been released yet. We're up to our tits in controversy, and that's how we like it.
Awesome.
Unless you're Jesus, this game will most likely make you swallow your own head. Guaranteed.
How much does it cost?
It's easy, either sacrifice a goat and sell your soul to Satan, or B, watch the movie Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man 3, that movie was horrible.
That movie gave me chronic diarrhea.
What a piece of crap.
You said it, Jimmy.
Is there any multiplayer?
Yes, why enjoy genocide alone when you can play online co-op with up to 3 other friends?
Cool.
You and your friends can take turns setting neighborhood cats on fire, harming the elderly, and even traffic black tar heroin.
That sounds like fun.
It sure as hell is, Jimmy, so reserve your copy of Gears of Halo Theft Auto 5 today!
This whole corner of the internet no longer exists because it got yeeted. I muted myself when I was talking. This is Ancient History 1, and it doesn't exist anymore outside of people that have archived it and re-uploaded it. And that is baffling to me. Now let me close out of the browser window. And just to answer you, Arsim, I am not playing this for the 6th time. Okay. I've only finished it once. And I've restarted it once. So this would be like the 3rd time. I know, it's like one of those things where it's like, oh no, this is the only copy of this video that exists. Oh yeah, I have to unmute the playlist. Should I do original soundtrack Or PSP soundtrack. Okay, so this is original. And this is PSP. And the PSP one's actually just a little bit cleaner. What did I miss? I give a vague nod, averting my eyes. I fear that if I look into her eyes right now, she'll read my mind. This time, I decide to face Kurumi.
それで、ク
By
ルミ
the
ちゃんは
way,
今何年生なんだ
what grade are you in right now? Turn this down just a little bit. I see Oyuhiko talking to Kurumi. Kurumi's a third year.
そうかそうか。中学
I
3年
see.
なんだ
A third year in middle school. You'll be taking your high school entrance exam soon. That'll be tough. You're wrong. Kurumi's not in middle school. She's a third year in high school. I love the sprites for this game because they're very well done, but they're obviously done in like a program that is like really old. So like with they did the best with what they had, and sometimes it's just very jarring. Like the eyes especially get jarring. And Kurumi's outfit is just a little weird. She just has a very awkwardly long torso. It's just funny. There's just little artifacts of the times in this. My face twists into shock. Oyuhiko's also gaping in surprise. When she delivered the pizza, we were both under the impression that she was in middle school. I'm 17 years old after all. Oh, that face. Hang on. I gotta get that face. Not legal in the US of A. But in Europe, not even in Europe though. Though she is rather baby face.
そういうあなたたちは見たところ大学生って感じだけど
And what about all of you? From the looks of it, you're all college students, right? Izumi-san asks us all this as she observes us with a smile.
そうですね私たちもちゃんと自己紹介しないと
You're right. We should also introduce ourselves. Yuka clears her throat with a small cough before promptly doing so. Oh, by the way, Arsum. Do we know anything about 12 Riven at this point? Has anyone stolen Ace's hard drive with the 12 Riven translation? Or is that still a lost project? Because from what I remember, one, he said it was shit, and two, Lemniska went public, so they couldn't actually like release anything else. Clearly what I need to do, what I need to do is I need to find someone that will help me translate it. Ah. Yuka tells her that we're juniors in college, that we're all members of the seminar. We're currently in a nearby lodge for a seminar camp. Everything. Afterwards, we give our name. Are these special cases like where you would have different branches and there's just like some branches that are just acting weird? That's good. And this girl is Haruka. Ah. So like just the menu is giving people trouble. Just interfacing. Interfacing isn't working right. Haruka. She silently continues to stare out the window. She's Haruka Higuchi, another member of our group. She is a year younger than us, but she skipped a grade, so she's in our grade, right? Well, she may seem like she's extremely shy, especially around strangers. But even though she doesn't look like it, she's a very social person, and she's very nice deep down. Yuka's desperately trying to support Haruka. However, the girl herself shows no sign of entertaining her whims. I understand. Izumi smiles. It's like... what's the button for the backlog? I forgot what that button was. Scroll up's not working and B is not working. Come on. Tab isn't it? Control is skip. Alt just pauses it. Space is just another way to get the menu. F11. It could just be... It could just be that I'm in window mode. So the window mode causes things to act weird. Haruka? Despite Yuka's urgings, Haruka doesn't even twitch. Could it be that I have this plugged in? Oh, I skipped a lot. Oh well.
リーダーを置く飛行だ。
Oh,
リーダーを置く飛行だ。
well.
リーダーを置く飛行だ。
Oh,
リーダーを置く飛行だ。
well.
リーダーを置く飛行だ。
I just skipped a lot of dialogue. It's not important though. A lot of this is just slice of life stuff. We are all confused by what Oyuhiko just said. Hang on, let me go to the Discord. And we're going to pull up Aquaman. It's hiding from me. There it is. I have to mute the soundtrack again. I'm pulling this up. It's been deleted. Access deleted it. Oh no. $10,000 to the second power. He's Aquaman. Times 100 over a million. It's Aquaman. Aquaman. The song is gone. Oh. While I'm in the Discord. Okay, this is from August. Ace has a live translation of 12 Riven that he has specifically asked people not to make transcripts of, I guess. It's just a professional integrity thing. I'll have to watch that later. And then and then I guess I'll have to make a video on it after I finish all the other games. Oyuhiko was so impatient to speak that he just spouted nonsense. Izumi-san is now trying to keep herself from laughing. But Kurumi is just befuddled. Did you say Aida? She caught him. You lied. You lied about the pizza. I'm taken aback by Kurumi's words. Oyuhiko, when you accepted the pizza, you introduced yourself as a Sakura. He realized this too, and his body stiffens. I'm shocked. I'm speechless. But earlier you said it was a Sakura. I don't know. At that, Ohiko begs for help silently. And at that moment, the door is violently thrown open. We all turn around in surprise. Dun dun dun! Standing there is a girl with her hair tied up in a ponytail.
朝倉ですけど。
My name is Asakura. Is the manager here? This girl scans all of us. Even though she's not really that tall, I feel like I'm being looked down upon.
はい、私ですけど。
That would be me. Izumi-san answers with a vacant expression. She's like, yeah, that's me. And, again, the faces get, like, weird and derpy sometimes. Like, they just pasted faces onto the models.
どういうことなんですか?
What is the meaning of this? She suddenly shouts. We're all frozen in place. She's realized how uneasy we are. She takes a deep breath and seems to have calmed down a bit.
私、朝倉咲と申します。
My name is Saki Asakura from the Asakura Summer House. She doesn't just look wealthy. She is wealthy.
それはそれは。
Thank you for your continued patronage.
別にいつも使ってるわけじゃないけど。
It's not like I always use this place.
まだですか?
Where is the pizza I ordered?
何のことです?
What are you talking about?
ピザです。
My pizza!
と思ってるんですか?
I've been waiting on it for hours.
何時間ですか?
How many?
6時間よ。
6! I have been waiting 6 goddamn hours. Just what kind of shop are you running here? You waited that long? Seems there's people out there with quite the free time on their hands.
あなたたちとは話してません。
I wasn't talking to you two.
僕も別に君と話しているつもりはないな。
I wasn't talking to you either. And I was talking to myself.
私がいいって言うまで話さないで。いいわね。
Don't talk until I say so. She gives me a dirty look. In response, I keep my mouth shut. It's the fastest way to get through this. Yuka stares at Saki. She seems surprised. I hear Oyuhiko snort as if to say, Saki doesn't seem very pleased by my words. Naturally, Haruka has been looking downwards this whole time. Just what's going on? I remember this. Just a reminder to people I know. Never 7 is a good game. Even her finger has the aggression mark on it. And a face. It looks like she's going to continue nagging Izumi.
6時間も何してたのかしら?
So what did you do for those 6
待
hours?
ってましたよ。
I waited
6時間も?
for 6 straight hours.
まさか。私だってそんな暇じゃありません。
Even I don't have that kind of time. Izumi-san is trying to be polite with her tone, but she's listless. Her words only seem to fuel Saki's irritation.
だってそれは言ったわよ。ええ、あるものだけで我慢ねって言ったわよ。
I told it to make do with what was there,
けど私がピザ頼んだのちゃんと
but it fully knew
言葉がつ
that I had ordered pizza. And even though it can't understand what I say,
うん
yes, yes. What is she talking about? Izumi-san just nods at everything she said. See, I'm gonna spoil the game for everyone. The it that Saki is talking about is the finger. The finger is the it. It is actually a living character in this game.
汚いからそのまま遊んであげてたのよ。
I don't have any other choice but to play around and wait.
なる
I see. I don't understand. Does Izumi-san really get it? Just then, Kurumi-san approaches her sister.
姉ちゃん話わかってる？
One-chan, do you understand what she's saying? I want to ask her that too. Izumi-san whispers back to Kurumi.
いいのいいの。こういう時はあれなんだから。
In times like this, all you have to do is that.
何の話？
What do you mean?
仕方ないからこのまま聞い
It
といて。
can't be helped, so let's hear her out for now.
こういうタイプは喋りたいだけ喋る。
These types just want to talk, then they go back home. Until then, just endure it. That's an impressive way to handle the situation. But you just said that out loud in front of her.
我慢なんかしなくちゃいけないの？
Why do we have to put up with it?
だってこっちが配達間違えちゃった。
There was a mistake in her delivery, so
くるみちゃんと届けたよ。
I definitely delivered that pizza.
大声出さないの。くるみが間違えてなきゃなんでこうなるの？
Don't shout. If you didn't make a mistake, then why did it end up like this?
おねけど
You're terrible, Oni-chan.
だから
But she said it never arrived.
届けた。
It did too. I delivered it to
ほら
a Sakura-san. Suddenly I realize what's going on. It's the pizza from lunch. How did it take you this long to realize it was the pizza from lunch? This is Asakura. She said her name was Asakura, and you knew. You knew that Oihiko said he was Asakura during the delivery. Kurumi was bringing it to an Asakura-san. Then Oihiko... The guy looks antsy. He knows. He knows he's in trouble. That moment, Saki strikes the counter.
私がいいって言うまで話さないで。
Don't talk until I say so.
くるみ絶対朝倉さんに届けたもん。
Kurumi did deliver to Asakura-san. She points to Oihiko, and he turns his head away.
ちょっとどういうことなのよそれ。
Just what the hell does that mean? Saki glares at Oihiko, who stops in his tracks. It seems like he's trying to run away. I won't cover for him. I had to eat Yuka's cooking. Saki immediately closes in on Oihiko when Yuka speaks up.
さっきってひょっとしてあの
Are you that girl?
ほら中学の頃一緒
We were friends in middle school.
なんだっけ
Um,
何かの行事の時
we drew the rough sketches of the magician's portrait.
ゆうか
Yuka?
やっぱりさっき
It really is you.
久しぶり何年ぶり
How many years has it been?
私が慶大の高等部に入ってからだから
5 years
ぶりね
since I entered in K University Senior High School.
懐かしい
See, I'm skipping a lot of this because this first half gets really tedious. I'm gonna be honest. It's fine when you have it for the first time, but I've already played this game and I want to get to like the branching paths. According to Saki, it seems she comes here every year to stay at her aforementioned summer house. She's relaxing here until her next semester begins. There's a big difference between us. Izumi-san stands between Yuka and Saki. I'll treat you two to dinner. I'll treat you all to dinner tonight. It'll be a celebration for your reunion. No way. That's too much. Then you can also consider this my apology. Will you eat with them too? I feel awkward for someone we only just met to be going this far for us. On the other hand, if we return to the lodge, all that awaits for us is Yuka's murderous cooking. What should I do? I gaze at Haruka. Haruka suddenly averts her eyes. She says I'll pass. If that's the case then, just to begin to think that. Come and eat! These faces are great. Kurumi interrupts my thought as she grabs my arm with both of her hands, tugging it. She looks like a kid begging for a toy. That's right, there's no need to reserve yourselves. She's following Kurumi's lead. It's middle mouse. Middle mouse's backlog. Nevertheless, I'm worried about Haruka. Or is it? Could it be that you don't want to eat my cooking? Izumi-san smiles saying this, however, her troubled eyes betray her. No, I'd be delighted. Then you're alright with it? It's kind of troublesome to go back to the lodge and make preparations, so I'm glad about this. Well, you've convinced me. It's decided, we're gonna eat. Let's see, what do we have to eat here? Her face briefly wavers, but then immediately regains its shine. We have paella, an Italian salad, as well as pumpkin soup. Oh. Making paella will be impossible. Impossible? Could it be that you're doubting my abilities? No, I would never do that. Then why is it impossible? Because short on rice. Surprised, Izumi checks the rice jar in the corner of the counter. It's true. There's only 5 ounces of rice left. It was the group from lunch. Now that you mention it, you're right. I completely forgot about it today. There's a group of 10 that ate curry. But how would you know about that? Because... I don't know. How the hell did I know that? I just had a feeling that was the case. That's the truth. I really just had a feeling. There shouldn't need to be a reason anyways, besides. Izumi tilts her head in confusion. They're glaring at me. Here, I'm gonna screen cap this face. I'm gonna put it somewhere. I really like this song. I like the panning of the drums. Everyone is staring at me.
でもそんなことどうでもいいんじゃない？
Thank you, Kurumi. It doesn't really matter. Kurumi's voice draws the others' gazes away from me.
とにかく早く気がついてよかったよ。
It's a good thing we noticed.
作り始めてから気がついてんじゃ遅す
If
ぎるもんね。
not, we would have started cooking and it would have been too late. Everyone nods in agreement.
それよりも今はお米をどうするか。そ
But what should we do about rice now? That's the real question. What if I go buy some? I immediately offer to help. I guess it's because I feel the urge to get out of this place. After all, you're the ones who offered to treat us to dinner.
でもそんなの悪い。
That's asking too much. It's no problem at all. Izumi-san, there must be other preparations stuff you have to do. You can take care of all that before I return.
そう
Are you sure? Yes.
じゃあ申し訳ないけど。
Then please excuse me,
ちょっともいいかしら。
but I may accept your offer.
それじゃあ私も何かお手伝いしますよ。
May I accept your offer? I'll help out in any way I can.
Eh?
Everyone says no.
泉さんのアシスタントとして私も一品ぐらい。
I will be the assistant chef and I'll also cook a dish or something. Bad idea. Bad idea. You can't do that, Yuka.
どうして？
Cause that would be rude, right?
失礼？
Yeah. If you were the hostess, what would you think? How would you feel if the person you offered to treat said they wanted to help?
そっか。それもそうだよね。
I guess it really would be rude. Right. So just behave, have a seat and wait.
手伝ってくれるっていうのはすごく嬉しいけど。今
Just leave it to us for today.
わかりました。今日はおとなしく黙って待って。
I'll be obedient and quietly wait. We dodged a bullet there.
ところで泉さん、今私たちって言ってたけど。
You said us just now. So do you mean
くるみも手伝うんだよ。
Kurumi is also helping out?
って言っても、くるみは
And she sticks her tongue out childishly. Then I have to leave immediately if I want to be quick. I run up to the door and grasp the knob, but it feels lonely going all by myself. Everyone else is just waiting anyway, so I might as well invite one of them along. I decide to ask Haruka. She doesn't answer. If you don't want to, it's fine. She turns her gaze to the side and spends several seconds considering it. And soon enough, she quietly stands up. Without a word, it's clear she's accepting my offer. That's the spirit. Haruka quietly passes by me as if she's ignoring my cheerful words. She goes outside alone. Wait for me, Haruka. I frantically chase after her. I exit the shop. Haruka silently waiting there. Ready to go? Yes. As we walk, I find myself being overwhelmed by her indifference.
ちょっと待って。
I watch as she comes out of Izumi-san comes out of the shop.
ごめん。言い忘れてたんだけど。
I forgot to tell you there's a bike by the side of the shop.
それ
Please use it. Is that really necessary?
歩いて行ってもそんなに時間かからないけど。
Well, even though it's not
荷物が
far on foot, you will still have to bring a lot to bring back, right? Yeah, 22 pounds of rice while walking does seem like a pain.
鍵はついてるから。
The key's attached to
よろ
it.
しくね。
Well, you two take care. Will do. Wait for her to leave before I walk towards the side of the shop. Just then, the bike starts moving. then quickly goes flying off. It's Haruka. Haruka, when did you... She doesn't reply or stop. Hey, wait up! I instinctively start to run after her. She's getting farther and further away despite my attempts to catch up. I desperately run faster. However, she's pedaling too hard for me to keep up. Haruka! I told you to wait! After that outburst, she finally hits the brakes. I catch up to her, but then she says, I can take care of this by myself. Her words shock me. You know, it kind of kills the purpose of me inviting you along if you go on without me. I can do this by myself. Listen up, Haruka. There's only one bike. Do you understand what that means? That's why. And do you want to get on? Huh? I think you might be able to fit on the luggage carrier. Sounds like a plan, I guess. I say this reluctantly. Why does it have to be this way? So Haruka pedals this bike while I sit in the luggage carrier, barely fitting. It's pathetic and annoying. A little bit sad, too. We're so close, yet she feels so distant. It bothers me. I hand the large grocery bag onto the bike's basket. Just then, the front wheel begins to bend under the weight of the rice, and it figures. We did buy 22 pounds of it. Without giving me a glance, Haruka heads straight for the bike again with the same composure as earlier. Hold on. Hurry up and get on. No matter what, I can't let her handle the bike this time. Not in this condition. Besides, she's a girl. Even if she has an unusual side to her, it's my duty as a man to help her in a situation like this. Isn't it my turn? Yeah, this time I'll pedal, okay? I help her off the bike and grab the handles. Haruka turns around to face the luggage carrier. We have to help each other out, right? This might have come back to bite me in the ass later. But who cares? Help each other out. Right. Anyway, get on. She nods. Stubborn. But she can also be surprisingly obedient. I glance at her. Her legs are dangling off the side of the bike. I feel warm inside. It came back to bite me in the ass, letting Haruka ride in the luggage carrier. She's petite and doesn't weigh much, but the 22 pounds of rice sure do. My muscles are burning. Is this much pain even normal? Should I get off? Haruka firmly grabs my waist from behind, waiting for an answer. No, I'm fine. I hear a clink. That can't be good, but I just can't give up now. I think it would be logical for me to do so. Logical? Screw that. I said I'm fine. There's no way I'm stopping here. Why are you angry? Enough already. Look, I said I would do this, so I'm definitely doing this. I see. Curious, I try to get a glimpse of her face. However, just then the rear wheel slips and collapses from the pressure. Look out! She clings to me with all of her might. It's ready! As Azumi-san says this, she places down many different looking dishes. I can see by looking at it that they're all of superb quality. There's a charming rich aroma coming from the pumpkin soup. The Italian salad is garnished with dressing, and the plates of garlic and olive oil have an amazing smell. There are a wide variety of fish included with the paella. How do I pronounce that? Paella.
I was right. Paella. And then how do I define this? Pronounce this one.
Bouillabaisse.
Bouillabaisse. Mouth waters like crazy as I breathe in the delicious smells. Let's eat. I instantly began to stuff my face with steaming pumpkin soup. Oh, it's like I'm going to faint. It's too damn good. There's a world of difference between this and what Yuka made for lunch. You could even call that food. The difference between the two is so overwhelming. Zumi-san, this is amazing. I eagerly shout this. So glad that you like it. She happily watches us eat. With this, even you can't complain, right, Saki? Well, it's not bad. She says this and eats seconds after seconds enthusiastically. Since her pizza never arrived, she might not have gotten to eat any lunch. As Saki is eating heartily, Izumi-san is indeed satisfied. Diagonal from me, Haruka and Kurumi are sitting next to each other. The smiling Kuruma asks Haruka if her sister's cooking is the best. Just then, Haruka suddenly stops moving and quietly places the spoon in her right hand on top of the plate. All of us fall silent. What's wrong, Haruka? Her lips remain firmly shut and don't move. Kurumi observes Haruka's expression with wonder. I'm sorry. She says this in a quiet voice that's like a whisper. Are you not feeling well? Yeah. Her face certainly looks pale. Now that I think about it, when we got here, Haruko's acting a little weird. I'm really sorry about this. She leaves her seat as she says this. Are you alright? Worried, Izumi-san nestles over next to Haruka. Haruka leans on Izumi-san's arm as she is led far away from the table, and quietly sits down in the seat in the furthest corner of the counter. Did I say something wrong? Kurumi looks puzzled as if she doesn't know what to do. Her bright large eyes are filled with innocence. It's not your fault, Kurumi. Yuka's gentle voice dispels the gloomy atmosphere. We return to sitting around the huge table, enjoying our wonderful dinner. Haruka's calmed down. Izumi-san clears everything away when we're done and serves us after dinner black tea. Is there enough tea? Make sure we all have teacups. I'm really sorry about all the trouble. Aihiko says this. It doesn't seem like there's much shyness in the way you said that. By the way, Izumi-san, you said this earlier, didn't you? When it's nighttime, the shop's both a restaurant and a bar? What of it? Could it be that you closed the shop earlier today for us? Now that he mentions it, he's right. In the time it took us to eat, there hasn't been a single customer. Then does that mean you reserved the place just for us? Wrong. Kurumi bursts out into laughter, holding her sides. We've been open.
うちの店ではこれが
This is just normal for the shop this time of year.
開店休業状態ってこと。まあ夜
Well, it is night.
夜はって昼間だってあんまりお客さん来ないじゃない。
We don't even get many customers during the day. She is a little too cheerful to say this.
シーズンオフだからね。
Izumi-san doesn't look happy to admit it.
でもこの味で繁盛してないっていうのもなんか不思議な気がするけど。
It's strange.
みんな
Food's great.
んだよすき家に。
It's because everyone goes to this fancy place up the road.
すき家？ほらここからでも見えるでしょ。あのでっかい建物。
That big building, it's very fancy.
あれがすき家ホテル。
It's a hotel
商売敵。
and our competition.
見た感じは豪華に見えるけど、実は結構庶民
It's
的。
actually very economical.
最上階にある展望レストランはここよりも断然値段が安い。
And their restaurant is cheaper than ours. And they have a really good view,
品がないわね。
but they have no dignity.
ここの景観と全く合ってないもの。
The scenery here is just that as good. That place is just gaudy. And that's why everyone goes there.
ああいうのを虚食っていうのよ。でしょ？そうなのよ。さすがさきちゃん。見る目あるね。
Izumi-san showers Saki with praise.
だからって私は
I'm not defending the shop or anything. She dislikes being agreed with. Izumi-chan is cheerful about this. She seems to understand what Saki is saying.
それに温水プールだってついてるんだから。
They've also got a heated pool. She's getting very serious about this. Then let's sneak in and check it out. I was the one who said that. Nearly everyone agrees. There's one person who relentlessly protests.
ほらもう見たでしょ。早く戻ろうよ。
Let's hurry back, please. let's stay too long. It was a joke, I swear. Oh god, that just reminds me. There's a guy that was pulling like pranks on people. And one of his pranks was to pull a gun on someone. And he got shot. And his dying words were, "It's just a prank, bro." It's very tragic. Very tragic. Rest in peace, prank bro.
なんか思ったよりも楽勝だったね。
Somehow, this is a lot easier than I thought it'd be. She's whispering, but I can tell she's excited. What did I tell you? This pole doesn't have a fence. It's just surrounded by hedges. So after you find a gap, it's extremely easy to sneak in. And there's no one else.
そうだ。
Her voice rises as if she just thought of something.
水着持ってこよう。
She's gonna go get her swimsuit.
だってせっかく侵入に成功したんだもん。泳がなくちゃもったいない
She
で
just
しょ。
goes swimming.
じゃあ私ロッジに帰って水着取ってくるから。
Wait for me. Yuka leaves the pool. Going back to the lodge. It'll take an hour. We're probably not even gonna be here that long. Saki comes over.
所詮日本のホテルなんてこんなもんよね。
All of our hotels in Japan are the same.
ここの経営者はわか
The
る。
manager here doesn't understand the beauty of the beach.
いくら人間があがいて
No
も
matter how hard people
自
try,
然の美しさ
they
に
can't match up to
及ばない。
nature. You're right. I agree.
そうでしょ。
Aren't I?
この単なる俗悪な娯楽施設
These things are just recreational
そうなってる
facilities.
じゃない。
I'm glad you get it. She leaves me with those words. However, the truth is, I can't really sympathize with her. All I can think of is how romantic this is. It's quite uncharacteristic of me. By romantic, I mean the pool. The lights at the bottom make the water look like it's glowing. Scattering bundle of lights that shine into the sky make it resemble the gates of heaven. The tips of each light passing through the water are like dazzling, expanding country of dazzling lights.
こういうのもありか
I guess this is nice. He suddenly appears and says this, but speaks in a somewhat affected tone. Thanks to that, I'm brought back to reality.
くるみの言いたかったこと分かってくれたでしょ
Well, now do you understand what Kurumi meant? This time, Kurumi speaks. I respond with a smile. Wait, where's Haruka? I quickly spot her, sitting alone by the poolside, dipping her feet in the water. Every time she moves her slender legs, it creates tiny ripples that spread. The flickering, wavering light reflects and shines on Haruka's entire body. I slowly walk towards her if I'm being drawn in. I say nothing and silently sit down next to her. With the exception of the sound of the splashing of water, we are wrapped in stillness.
ほらおいでってばちょっとくるみ
Hold on, don't shout. On the opposite side of the pool, the two happy sisters are playing together. As I think the gentle evening breeze brushes against my skin. It's filled with the scent of spring. Haruka and her nearly transparent figure are bathed by the pale light. It's beautiful. Say nothing. She doesn't seem to notice I'm sitting next to her as she continues to dip her tiptoes in the water. Gazing at her face from the side, I suddenly notice there's something different in the way she's carrying herself. How do I put it into words? She's broken free of the bonds, as if she's attained enlightenment. Those eyes, her pupils, like an optical illusion that I feel I'm being sucked into.
気持ちいい
This feels good. Huh? Caught off guard by your sudden statement. I don't know how to reply. Well, it's more than that. With those words in my heart, as I lightened up until now, there hasn't been a single echo of warmth in her words. This might be the first time I've seen something like this from Haruka. I don't know why, but my heart is filled with emotion. When I realize my mind is aflutter, I gaze across the water's surface. The shimmering light stands before my eyes, blurring them. Swaying, the water makes me dizzy. The country of light feels like it could swallow me whole at any time. My field of vision grows hazy. A drifting sense of fatigue wraps my body. My consciousness becomes faint. Where am I? Come to my senses. On the opposite side of the pool, Izumi-san and Kurumi are still playing with each other.
ほらいい加減にしないと
Don't cut it out, I'll get mad.
ここまで
Catch me if you can. Kurumi stands close to the pool's edge, egging on Izumi-san. Izumi-san, trying to catch Kurumi, begins to close the distance between them.
おいで
Soon enough, as Izumi-san finally grabs Kurumi by her sleeve, at that exact moment, the ground begins to shake. The water is disturbed by ripples that begin to violently form. The bundle of light shatters into pieces as it scatters out in all directions. By the time I notice, it's already too late. Water shoots up as Izumi falls into the pool. Kurumi remains, looking like she sacrificed Izumi-san to save herself. This is what you would call... Hang on, I can't say it yet. This is what you would call determination. I had to do it. I couldn't not do it. Zumi-san's face sticking out of the pool surface has an expression like a stiff little kid. Suddenly, I come back to my senses. On the opposite edge of the pool, they're playing with each other.
こら、いい加減にしない。
She gets on the pool's edge. It's happening again. I understand it now. I had a premonition. I quickly call out, "Don't do it!" Izumi glances in my direction. However, soon enough, she looks back at Kurumi, her legs still in motion. Izumi-san! Kurumi! I try raising my voice even more, but it doesn't seem like they can hear me. This isn't working out. I have to give them a more general warning. With that, Earthquake! By the way, I live in an area where earthquakes literally never happen. And I remember there was one day where something happened and there was an earthquake in the other, like in a city like an hour away from here. And I felt the ground underneath me shake. And it was like very quick and I had no clue what it was. And it was kind of cool. It lasted for like all of 15 seconds. And it was just like, I had no idea what was going on. I just knew that the ground was like shaking. And it was like, oh wow. That's weird. It happens again. She falls into the pool and emerges again. They continue to laugh with no signs of stopping. Oh, brother. I let out a deep sigh and face the other side of the pool. They continue on like this. Their laughter may reach the sun. Their two voices reverberate off the wall of the hotel, resounding louder and louder. As a result, we soon hear a security guard shouting as loud as thunder. We run away to Luna Beach. In the half hour we've been here, I've been thinking about that this whole time. All the premonitions. For a moment I thought we were screwed.
逃げ遅れた泉さんが警備員に捕まっちゃって。あの時、はるかさんが起点を聞かせてくれなかったら、今頃はみんな捕まっ
We
ちゃって。
could have been caught so soon.
まさか警備員の帽子を取ろうなんて誰も考えつかないもんな。
No one else would have thought to take off his hat.
それよりも、帽子の下が実はカツラだったなんて。
He was wearing a wig too.
それをはるかさんがプールの真ん中に放り投げて。
Haruka-san threw the wig into the center of the pool.
時の警備員の顔と
She's trying hard not to get flustered, but she is embarrassed.
あれ？どうしたの、誠くん？
What's wrong, Makoto?
なんか考え事でもあ
Are
る。
you thinking about something? I guess I could say that. How do I put this? I've experienced unusual phenomenon.
奇妙な現象。
I had a premonition. But all of a sudden, I've been given the power to receive them. No matter how I think about it, it's the only way I can explain it.
は
Oyuhiko jeers at my claim. Right. I said it earlier, didn't I? Before Izumi-san fell into the pool, I said an earthquake's coming.
ああ、そういえば。
Also, this afternoon, I somehow knew that the shop was out of rice. I didn't mention this before, but I also knew Haruka was going to fall on Moon Beach.
おいおい、冗談のつもりかい、石原。それとも僕らを騙そうとしてるのかな？
Is this a joke? Are you trying to trick us? Why do I want to do that?
になるからこそそんなたわけたこと言ってるんだろう。
Why else would you say all that useless crap unless you had something to gain from it?
つまり僕らをからかって。
In other words, you could be mocking us for your sick entertainment. Huh?
何しろ今日はエイプリルフール。
After all, today is April Fool's Day.
まさか石原が。
I didn't know you still practice that obsolete tradition. This isn't an April Fool's Day joke, damn it.
はいはい、わかったわかった。
I get it, I get it. You clearly don't believe me.
わかってるよ。信じてやる。
Really, I do. I'll try believing you.
では石原大先生。
Well, great Ishihara. What have you received about tomorrow? Now, this is the problem with all these plots, all these assholes. It's like you start saying, I've seen things like moments before they happen, and then they're like, well, what have you seen about tomorrow?
お分かりにならないのですか、先生。
Shouldn't you know, teacher?
それなら1時間後
In
の
that
ことでも。
case,
あ、いや、
what
1
about
分後の
ones
こと
that
でもいい
were
のですが。
occur in an hour? In 1 minute?
まさかそんなことさえも
Could
予
it
知でき
be
ないと。
that you can't receive premonitions about that? I don't think it works that way.
ほらな。
See, it's exactly as I thought after all.
騙すのもいいけれど、それならもっと
I don't mind if you want to trick us, but it's no fun if you use such a flimsy
そ
lie.
んな子供でも引っかからないようなよ。
That's the kind of stuff only not even a child would be fooled by.
でもちょっと待って。
Wait a
お
second.
米のことも地震
I
の
don't
こ
think
と
he
も
could have lied about the rice side of the
Kotomo
earthquake. Saki comes to my
それは違うよ、
rescue.
さきちゃん。
Saki-chan.
今日の夕方、僕らが初めてここへやってきたとき、くるみちゃんはこう言
See,
ってたよ。
Kurumi
今日
told us about
言った。
lunch rush.
きっと石原はその言葉から推理して、
じゃあ地震は
The earthquake
それは説明するまでもないんじゃないか。
barely needs an explanation.
あれはただ単純に一番最初に
First person to start the notice,
だったってだけのことだから。
Ishihara was the first person to notice the start of the earthquake.
とぼける
Don't
つも
play
りか。
dumb.
要するに、石原が地震が来るって言ったときには、
When you shouted the earthquake was coming, it had already started.
僕らは泉さんとくるみちゃんのじゃれ合い
We were also focused on Izumi-san and Kurumi's game. We didn't even
じゃ
notice.
なかったら、石原は普通の人では
But if he wasn't distracted,
つまり、
he might have felt something shaking that we didn't. In other words, the preliminary tremor.
当然のことだけれど、余震が分かった
Naturally, if you notice tremors,
たやすいこ
it's
と
simple to guess right about the arrival of the main tremor.
なるほどね。
Get it?
そういうことだったのか。
So that's what
石
happened.
原、そろそろ白状した方がいいんじゃないのかい？
Confess now. I say nothing. I've lost the will to. There's nothing more than depressing than nobody believing you when you're telling the truth. I feel like an innocent suspect who's been accused of murder. It's not like they've lost faith in me, so I guess it's fine. This still sucks. Just then.
さっぱりした。
That was refreshing.
みんな、冷蔵
I have
庫
some
に
strawberries in the fridge. Would
食べる
anyone like some? We forgot all about our premonition talk.
もう、どうしてみんな戻ってきちゃったのよ。
She's mad because she went to grab her swimsuit. We're already back.
プールに行ったら誰もいないんだもん。
When I went to the pool, no one was there.
ほら、せっかく水着だ
I even went through all the trouble of putting my swimsuit on. She rolls her skirt up, and a tingling electrical current runs through my pituitary gland. I know, you stay down.
ゆくちゃん。
As soon as Oyiko says this, blood pours from his nose. After that, we talk about many things. After listening to everyone's fun stories, I've slowly stopped worrying about my premonitions.
さあ、それじゃあそろそろ帰りましょうか。
Isn't it about time we all went home?
泉さんは私たちみたいに暇じゃないんだ。
Aren't we taking up your time, Izumi-san?
だけどこのお店、明日
This shop will be closed tomorrow.
だから私のことは気にし
Don't worry about me, it's fine.
は、それなら
Oh, if
こう
that's
い
the
うの
case,
と
then I've got an idea.
明日ここにいる7人みんなで
Why don't we try going to the pool again tomorrow?
私プール行きたい。
That sounds like a good idea.
いいこと言うじゃない優香。
Saki also seems eager.
誠は
I don't really care, so sure. I don't have a reason to oppose this. It's only natural, but if we're going to the pool, they'll likely be in their swimsuits. That's an opportunity too tempting for a guy to pass up.
福彦君はどう？
What about you, Yukiko-kun?
悪いけど僕は辞退させてもらうよ。
I'll have to pass.
朝ダイビングをするよ。
Plan on diving tomorrow.
ダイビング？
あ、商店街に
Yeah, there's a place in the district where you can rent scuba gear.
それは無理よ。
You can't.
福彦君？
どうしてですか？
Why not? I got a license.
そうじゃなくて明日
There'll be big waves tomorrow.
波が。
そう南の方に
There's an unseasonable
低気圧が来てて
tropical cyclone coming in from the south,
なるらしいの
so it seems the waves will be high tomorrow.
漁師のゲンさんが言ってたことだから
I heard from Jensen, the fisherman, there's no doubt about it.
沖の方が荒れてるから
He complained that he wouldn't be able to go out to sea and fish because of the storm.
それに今回の低気圧
Also, because the cyclone's migration velocity is slow,
1週間ぐらいは食べ
it'll be like this for about a week. What? Are you sure? Izumi nods.
楽しみにしてた
Good,
のにな。
looking forward to that.
ま、それなら仕方ないか。
I guess I'll go to the pool.
くるみちゃんはどうかな
What about you,
く
Kurumi?
るみはくるみもプール
She will go to the pool. Izumi-san looks at Kurumi. For a split second, her eyes narrow. Does she want to say something?
それなら私も一緒に行かせてもらおうかな。よ
And I'll go too.
かったこれで決まりだね。
Glad to hear it. And it's decided. Yuka's in a very good mood.
じゃあ明日ここに迎えに来ますから
We'll meet up here tomorrow.
今日のところはひとまず帰ります。
As for now, I guess we'll call it a day and go back. Right.
じゃあ
And
気をつ
please be careful. Say goodbye to Kurumi Izumi-san as we leave Luna Beach. We walk down the beach instead of the paved road. At the head is Yuka and Saki talking about their past. At the beach, I come across a group of light from sea fireflies. The moonlight sways on the surface of the charming black sea. The blue light's boisterous dance and swaying moonlight. I feel like I'd watch this forever. But as I'm staring, the others are getting further and further away from me. It's cold, stinging moonlight. As I stare in the sea, I start walking again. Several steps later, another source of light shines to my field of vision. It's a cold, stinging light. Excuse me. I stagger towards the source of the light as if it's inviting me. Lying on top of the wave-soaked sand, I lean down to pick up the light. It's that bell. A shiver crawls up my spine. Goosebumps from all over my entire body. My heart violently jumps up and down. It's impossible. This is definitely what I saw in my dream. The bell in my palm has a freezing cold metal texture. It has a light crimson string. There's no mistaking it. But why is it here? I've looked at something that shouldn't have been seen. I'm captured by feelings of intense guilt. I have to hide this truth right now. Frightened to death, my body shakes as I throw towards the sea. I want to quickly run away from this reality. The bell flies in an arc before it sinks into the dark ocean. My body won't stop trembling. A scene passes through my mind. The hopeless nightmare this morning. I shake my head to erase it from my mind. There's no way something like that will happen. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I repeat these words to myself again and again, like a spell. It just happens to resemble the bell from my dream. No, even if it was the same bell, so what? There's nothing to be afraid of, right? I feverishly run down the sandy beach. I can't stop. Though my feet are tripped up by the sand, I keep running. The ominous ring of the bell echoes through my head. As soon as I return to my room, I crash down on my bed. I crawl under the sheets and close my eyes. I want to fall asleep right now. By tomorrow, I'll definitely forget all this ever happened. However, the sound of my heart pounding loudly in my ears hinders me from sleeping. What if all the strange events I've experienced today are really premonitions? If that's the case, was that dream a prophetic dream? For argument's sake, let's say that was true. Then just who was the girl in my dream? Yuka? Haruka? Saki? Rumi? Izumi-san? Just which of those 5 was it? Saturday, April 6th. Which one of them will die? No. Why the hell am I thinking such bullshit? There's something wrong with me. I'm thinking like this just because I had 3 or 4 weird things happen to me by coincidence. Of course, it's just a coincidence. Everything's nothing more simple than a coincidence. A simple coincidence. The night feels like an eternity. I finally fall asleep as dawn approaches. It's pleasantly warm today. Not a single cloud in the clear spring sky. A wind blows from the sea, bringing the sweet fragrance of flowers. A white bird glides playfully across the ocean's surface. A seagull, or is it a black-tailed gull? Anyway, there's something that's bothering me. Unlike yesterday, the waves are incredibly huge. Even though the weather's good and the wind isn't that strong, the roar of the waves can be heard as they crash against the shore.
Nami.
The waves. Haruka mutters just 2 words. They're enough for us to understand what she means. The curl of the waves rises up and down as if it were the tongue of a sea monster. The sign on Luna Beach's door says close. Izumi-san had said yesterday that the shop will be closed tomorrow. We'd been expecting this. It was all part of our plan. That's because we all agreed last night to go to the pool together. Yuka tries to open the front door, and of course it's locked.
どうしよっか。
She turns to ask me for advice. We should probably try the back. As I'm in the middle of answering,
ごめんなさい。鍵開けとけばよかったね。
I'm sorry, I should have unlocked it. Good morning.
おはよう。で、準備は OK ですか、泉さん？
Are you all set?
それがね。
About that.
実はちょっと。
Truth is, I might have to decline.
それは中で話し
Well,
ましょう。
why don't we continue this conversation inside?
入って入って。朝ごはんは？
Have you had breakfast?
いや、それがまだなんですよ。
I didn't get around to it yet.
じゃあ簡単なものでも作ろうか。
How about I whip up something simple?
いいですよ。昨日だってごちそうにプールにだって売店ぐらいあるでしょ。
The pool should have a stand. Ohiko slouches in disappointment at the words. Well, it's not like I can't sympathize with him. I was also hoping Izumi-san would make us breakfast.
それよりさっきの話の続き、
Let's finish this conversation.
そっちの方がすごく気になるんですけど。
You look worried.
それがね。
Yes.
おはよう。
Good morning. Kurumi comes onto the terrace, sounding like she's forcing herself to recite the words. She looks depressed as a rainy afternoon.
どうしたのくるみちゃん。
Something wrong?
ちょっと。
I've got a headache. Are you okay?
多分。
Probably
その
not.
様子じゃプールは無理そうね。
Shouldn't go to the pool like this.
ごめんなさい。
Right? Sorry about this.
別に謝らなくたっていいけど。
You don't need to apologize.
とにかく今日はゆっくりと休みなさい。
Just rest for today.
そういうわけなの。だからちょっと残念だけど、今日は5人だけで行ってきて。
You five will be going without us. Don't want to come with us, Izumi?
この子の面倒見なきゃいけな
I
い
have to take care of her. Izumi-san says this as she pats Kurumi's head.
大丈夫だよ。くるみは一人で大丈夫。
I'll be fine by myself.
できないよお姉ちゃ
Go with them.
ん。だけど。
Izumi-san looks troubled. I want to say something, but I don't feel like I have the right to butt in, so I keep my mouth shut. There's a brief moment of silence as the sisters stare at each other.
本当に大丈夫？
Are you really alright?
大丈夫。
Kurumi is fine. Kurumi says this firmly, as if she's forgotten that she's in pain. Well, she says so. As for Izumi-san,
わかった。じゃあ、
I'll go too. Her face breaks out into a kind smile. But you have to rest, alright? The fastest way to the hotel is by crossing Moon Beach. Like nomads on a desert, we walk alongside the coast in a straight line. Oihiko walks at the head of the line, frolicking like a child. Tailing him from behind is the ever-cheerful Yuka, who is just as excited. Behind her are Saki and Izumi-san, who are having a pleasant conversation about something. The girls are a little far ahead of me. At the back of the line is Haruka, who is slowly trudging along with heavy steps. Glance over my shoulder. Even though she isn't the cheerful type, she looks seriously depressed right now. Did she not want to go to the pool after all? I slow down and wait for her to catch up. And then, something a little unexpected happens. When she passes by me, she grabs my wrist. She did it so urgently, like she had something to say. Shocked, I turned to face her. I'm trying to ask what's wrong, but for some reason, I can't continue. Is it because of her strikingly lonely eyes? They shine like a star that's beginning to fade in the morning glow.
くるみ、
Kurumi. She quietly says this. Huh? Though I heard her just fine, I instinctively asked her to repeat herself.
大丈夫かな？
I wonder if Kurumi's okay. She mutters sorrowfully as her grip around my wrist tightens. She's that worried since she had the headache? Don't worry, she'll be fine. After all, she was arguing with Izumi-san and seemed quite energetic.
そうかな？
Think so? Of course. The headache isn't anything particularly serious to worry about. Besides, you've had headaches before, haven't you? Like, for example, Being forced to spend a whole week with good-for-nothing strangers, perhaps? Upon hearing that, Haruka gives a slight grin. And one of those guys with the mullet-like hairdo looks like some reject sort. And one of those guys with that mullet-like hairdo looks like one of those reject punk rockers. As I continue to add to my joke, Haruka giggles. The sight of her laughter encourages me, and I try to come up with an even wittier punchline. No, not a punk rocker. It's more like a mop. Huh. You mean like a mop you wipe the floor with? So Oyuhiko's hairdo resembles a mop. I see. That might be the best way to describe it. Anyways, you don't have to worry about it at all. You wouldn't want Kirumi to look at that drenched, shiny, filthy mop and get sick, would you? Just thinking about it is giving me a headache. So imagine what it'd be like seeing it in real life. Just thinking about it gives me a headache. Imagine seeing it in real life. Haruka, who up to now had been quite reserved, gives a completely natural smile. You don't need to worry. Despite this being complete nonsense, Haruka mutters this and quietly lets go of my wrist. So I begin to walk towards the pool again. Haruka is now several paces behind me. Nevertheless, as I walk, I reflect on what has just happened. Nevertheless, get this worried over something as simple as a headache. Haruka seems cold at first glance, but maybe deep down she's a kind, compassionate girl. Although the sunlight is strong, it's only the start of spring, so it'll be a bit cold to go outside without out with just a bathing suit on. If we go to the poolside, it'd probably be best to dive straight for the water. At least, I was thinking that, but to my surprise, it's actually warm outside. It's not as hot as it would be in the summer, but it is warm. The hedges surrounding the perimeter probably help keep out the wind.
Yeah.
This is nice weather we're having, huh? Oyuhiko looks at the radiant sun while saying an expression you'd expect from an enka singer. Anyway, I think we ought to thank Yuka-chan. Didn't you say it over the phone before we came to the camp? Make sure to bring your swimsuit. No matter how close the ocean is, there's no way you can go swimming in it this season. So I was a little curious as to why you said to bring one. That's true. Now it all makes sense. To think that there would be a heated pool here. I see, I probably would have thought to brought mine too. If she hadn't told us. And this is why. But Yuka, how did you know there's a heated pool here? Well, I didn't know. I didn't know there's a heated pool. Because this is so far south, I just assumed the beach season would be... I just assumed it would already be beach-going season. Why are you making fun of me? Well, the temperature of the ocean is about 1 or 2 months behind the air temperature. It is. In other words, right now... In other words, right now, the ocean is in the middle of its coldest season of the year. Izumi-san praises her almost as if she was a
この
child.
時期に海に入るなんて自殺行為だよ。
Going into the ocean during this season would be suicidal. Saki proudly adds to this, encouraged by Izumi's praise.
まあどっちにしろ結果的には良かったわ。
Everything turned out well,
僕は優香ちゃんに
so I'm grateful to Yuki-chan. Yuki-chan. As he flips his long hair, Oyuhiko sends Yuka a flirtatious glance.
ああ、さんさんと降り注ぐこの太陽
The
の
sun's rays are bathing us in its light, filling my soul with fiery heat. As he says the ridiculous words, he spreads his arms and lifts his face towards the sky.
それじゃあ諸君、アディオース
That adios, amigos. Oyuhiko leaves us with these words and suddenly begins running towards the poolside, diving in with a magnificent belly dive. A sheet of water shoots up in the air as he pathetically crashes into the pool. He dived like an elementary girl who can't swim. However, it's not comical, it's just sad. I look at the analog clock on the wall of the hotel. It's exactly noon. The weather is as good as ever. Everyone else is scattered by the pool, idly passing the time and having fun. And I will... I feel like going on the slide. I used to love the slides as a kid. In that time, back when I still did things without thinking about them, back when I thought of only having fun, back when I thought I could do anything when I grew up, that time is very nostalgic to me. Alright, time to act on my childish impulses and go down the slide. Thankfully, there aren't any kids around right now. If there were, it'd have been too embarrassing to try. I finally arrive at the slide and suddenly notice Haruka, who is sitting on the steps of the slide. She doesn't seem to be doing anything in particular, other than hugging her knees while gazing at the sparkling sunlight reflecting off the pool surface. What's up? Call out to Haruka. She doesn't reply. Her eyes are glued to the water surface. This is the water slide. Do you want to ride it too? Not a word. She's so terribly focused. I follow suit and stare at the water. There's nothing interesting or unusual about it. What are you looking at? As I ask another question, she's still staring at the water. Say, Haruka, I don't see anything but water. Could be that you're just looking around at the water, right? I try asking this, but even I think it's a stupid question. There's no way she'd... The water. Haruka finally speaks, fixated on its surface.
水見てるの
I was looking at the water. She replies as if it's normal to do. I'm dumbfounded. Could she be mocking me? You were looking at the water. I get it. For the time being, I try to act like I understand her. However, I feel pretty bad about lying.
水
I like looking at the water. She's still staring at it. I observe her face. She has a very apathetic expression. I don't see any signs of her mocking me, however. Now that I think about it, I remember something. Yesterday morning, she also stared at the water dripping from that faucet. She also soaked her bare feet in the waves on Princess Beach yesterday. The two of us fall silent again. The silence was getting uncomfortable. I want to ask her, why do you like the water so much? But I decide not to. At any rate, I don't think she'll answer me anyway. I should change the topic. I need to bring up a topic that'll interest her. It hits me. What topic would interest Haruka? I can't think of anything because I don't know anything about her. Right? I should ask her questions about herself. Well, she might not answer me, but it can't hurt to try. If things stay this awkward, I'm gonna suffocate. Hey, Haruka. Like always, she doesn't turn to face me. But I know she's listening. Well then, what should I try asking her? What do you do on your days off? Image I have of you is somewhat of an honor student, not one who's glued to her desk 24/7. On the other hand, I can't see you doing sports. And you don't really strike me as someone with a part-time job either. So what is it that you really do? If you don't want to answer, it's fine. So I'm about to change subjects. Haruka speaks.
家に帰るの
I go home.
そう、家
Yep.
私、
Because I live at my dorm most of the time. I see.
家に帰って
When I go home,
お母さん
I help my mother out. You're great, Haruka. Feels like I'm praising a child.
誠は
Makoto.
誠はお父さんとお母さんのこと
Do you like your parents? I'm bewildered by your sudden question. How should I answer that? I like them. They occasionally have fights and sometimes make me feel depressed. But they're my parents. They're people to me. That should be loved. People who hate their parents, well, they definitely exist, but I think most people who claim to hate their parents still love them deep down, you know?
そう
I see. What about you?
私も好きだよ
I also like my parents. She looks at me, she says this. I see.
私の唯一の絆だから
They are my only bond. For some reason, I feel like I mustn't pry further. I'll change the topic. You have all of them. You're a year younger than us, right? She doesn't respond, but I continue to talk anyways. You're in the same grade as we are, so that means you skipped a grade, right? Skipping a grade is amazing. Only top-notch students can accomplish that. Seriously, it's amazing. You're a year younger than us, yet you're as smart as we are. No, you might even be smarter than us. Being praised makes everyone feel. This, I feel, the mood has now lightened enough for us to talk normally.
珍しい
Is that rare? Huh?
それって珍しい
Is it rare? Is that not normal? That's I wouldn't call it normal, but it isn't. But it is something you should be proud of because it's not normal. It means you're not an ordinary human.
別にどうでもいいことだから
It doesn't matter to me. Let's see. I have been handed an honorable defeat.
なんで
Hmm?
なんでそんなに私のこと聞きたがるの
Why are you so curious about me? Because I can't answer it. Truth is, I don't even understand it well myself.
どうして
Why? Haruka asks this again. because I like you. I like Haruka. Is that true? Even though we're just acquaintances, I know nothing about her.
好き
Yeah. I nod before forcing myself to say this. Haruka lowers her head again. Am I annoying her? Don't take it seriously.
冗談なの
Was it a joke?
そう
Yeah. See, I'm glad. As I thought I was just pestering her. Try and hide my
わ
shock.
からないから好きって言葉の意味が
I don't know the meaning of the word like.
好きって言われても
Because if someone told me they liked me, I wouldn't know how to react.
好きって言われたら
Because if someone told me they liked me, I wouldn't know what to think. We fall silent again. Once again, the atmosphere is awkward. You want to go on the slide? For the time being, in order to break this deadlock between us, I've got to act.
滑り台
The slide? Just the slide, didn't you notice? You want to ride it? She seems hesitant. Let's do it. You're gonna love it. Feels great.
気持ちいい
Feels great. Yeah, when you're sliding, you can't think of I keep on insisting. Exaggerating it a little. No, scratch that. I'm really over-exaggerating.
考えられない
Yeah.
滑る
Can't think about anything. Let's do it. Haruka, what's wrong? She's expressionless. No, it would be better to say that her expression has gone stiff. Haruka, could it be that you're nervous?
ね
She nods. Hey. Suddenly she grabs my hand, staring at me, startling
え
me.
誠も一緒に滑って
Let's go down together. In the end, it's come down to the two of us fighting. Haruka sits between my legs as I hold her from behind. The warm water flowing from behind me feels pleasant against my back. But at this rate, don't you think this is a little
大丈
dangerous?
夫誠さえしっかり捕まえててくれれば
It's alright, you're holding me tight enough. No, that's not what I meant. Let's go. Wait, not yet. But Haruka doesn't wait. We take a deep breath. As we ride the flowing water, we slide down with great speed. Haruka can't help but to shout. I yell for a totally different reason. While Haruka's exhilarated by the exhilarating feeling of sliding down, I don't share her sentiments. We're two adults on the water slide. The fact that we're practically glued together as well causes me to feel uneasy. Finally reached the end point. Our bodies flung into the pool's water. Haruka toward me, the water dripping from her head. Haruka's just smiled. It was a small grin, but I've never seen her smile like that before.
もう一回
One more time.
もう一回
Let's go one more time. We took so many trips down the slide together that I lost track. Once I leave Haruka, I head over to the drink stand and quench my thirst.
あれ誠じゃない
Well, it is some Makoto. Hi, Yuko.
なんだか誠くたくたみたいだね
You look kind of beaten. Yeah, I was trying to slide with Haruka. Huh? I tell Yuko what we were doing just now. Well, that sounds
子供みたいだね
kinda childish. Agreed. Perhaps it's the first time Haruka's been on a slide.
違う違う
Wrong. I was talking about you.
だって最初に誘ったのは誠なんでしょ
You're
二十歳にもなって
20 years old.
なんて
And you're doing things
何も
that only
できる
kids
わけじゃない
do. I have no comeback. What I did was childish.
それよりさ、喉乾かない？
Anyway,
出るよ。
I thirsty some me. Looks like I got lucky. Thank you very much.
そこのデッキチェアで待っていて、持ってきてあげるから。
Well, then, just wait in the deck chair and I'll get one for you.
なんかいいよね。
This is the life, isn't it? Yuka and I are sitting down on 2 deck chairs by the poolside, watching kids innocently play in the water.
爽やかな水の音と
Refreshing sound of water, the cheering of children,
高な日
the
差し
warm
と
sunlight,
それか
and
ら
some
ご
first-rate
の
draft
生
beer. Speaking of beer, I should totally just go grab one right now. I'll be right back. That's right. Right now, she has a glass of draft beer on her lips, drinking down the pure white foam on the top of the glass.
ねえ、そう思わない？
Hey, don't you think so? As she asks me for agreement, I grip the glass cup in my right hand. It's filled with flat soda. In other words, thanks to Yuka, I'm stuck with this flat soda that's more like water. No matter how I think, this is not a situation I can empathize with her with.
こういうのがずっと続けばいいのにな。
It'd be nice if it continued to go on like this forever and ever.
こんな風に
It'd be nice if we could keep on living as though we're wandering through a dream like this. But if it did go on forever, don't you think you'd get bored?
こんなもんかな。
Is that what you think?
でも、とり
For
あ
now,
えず見るまでは
I'd love to stay here
私は
as long as I wanted till I get bored.
だってこの合宿が終わったらすぐに学校が始まっちゃうんだよ。
Once this camp is over, school will start again right away.
退屈な授業
Back to boring classes and boring jobs and ordinary days that make me want to scream.
私にとっては
To me,
こっちの世界の方がよっぽど
that world is incredibly tedious. You might have a point there. As I say this, Yuko delicately places her cup to her lips and gulps it down. She's chugging it faster than a sailor. Is she alright? I'm a little worried. Ta-da! Whoa. Oyuhiko's sudden appearance causes me to almost instinctively drop the cup in my hand. Pardon me for interrupting. What is that all about? Well, I just think everyone is starved right about now.
そういえば私
Now that you mention it,
何も食べ
we
てな
haven't
かったっけ？
だろ だから
Right.
今こうやってみんなを集めてるところなんだ。
So everyone's gathering to eat.
そっかそっか。
ほら、向こうの売店のところに。
See the parasol over there by the stand? He points to an opera singer. Like an opera singer, he points in that direction.
席はあそこに確保してやるから。
I saved some seats for us over there. Gee, how awfully considerate of you.
なに、こんなこと。
It's no big deal.
それじゃ僕、
Well,
はるかちゃ
I
ん
have to go find Haruka-chan, if you'll excuse me. Oyuhiko proceeds to flip his long hair. Shao. Leaving us behind with those words. Shao. We watch him go in awkward silence.
行こっか。
Well, shall we go? She slaps my knees and stands up. I peek into the cup and discover that it's empty. Is she an alcoholic or something? As I'm thinking, me and Yuka turn towards the parasol. As we had lunch, everyone bathed in the afternoon sunlight while playing in the water like children. They all resembled kids as they merrily played in the water. Even Haruka looked like she was having fun. Surprisingly, the sprays of water seemed to suit her very well. The sun is starting to go down and the temperature is starting to decrease.
そろそろ出ようか。
We should be leaving now. As soon as Saki says this, we all simultaneously begin preparing to go back. However, there's still one person roaming, staggering by the poolside. Said person staggers and comes up to us. Going back already, guys? She then speaks. Yeah, it's already getting cold. Answer as calmly as possible.
暑い。
God. Cold. You're cold.
私は全然寒
But I'm not cold at all. She's speaking in a comedic, drunk-like tone. I guess I should have seen this coming. After we finished lunch, Yuka just spent her time at the stand buying more beer. As far as I know, she downed at least 10 cups. 10 cups in 2 hours, meaning 1 glass every 12 minutes. Anyone could mistake her at this point for a drunkard. Thanks, buddy. We also have to go check on Kurumi.
くるみ。あ、くるみだね。はいはいはいはい。
If we don't hurry back, she'll be lonely.
うーん。
That's true. Somehow seems I've managed to get her to agree with me. Just as I think that. What is it? Don't shout so suddenly.
そういえば、くるみと。
Now that she mentioned Kurumi,
くるみとルナビーチで待って
is
たろ。
she waiting for us at Luna Beach? That's what I just told you.
そろそろ帰らないとくるみたん。
So if we don't get back soon, she'll be lonely. Yuka's ignoring me.
さあ、皆さん、帰りますよ。
Well, everyone, let's go back. Oh god, this is why I haven't been skipping much, because there are parts of this that I really enjoy. Everyone has already left the shower rooms and are headed to the changing rooms. Oh, brother. I firmly grab her by the hand and escort her to the showers. She walks behind me with tottering steps, singing an English song. At least, I think it was supposed to be English. Her words are incomprehensible, and it's kind of hard to tell. I watched as strangers coldly glared at us walking by. I have no clue what's funny, but Yuka is loudly cracking up like a middle-aged woman on a TV shopping show. Yuka, keep it down. Kurumi might be sleeping upstairs, you know. point to the ceiling to scold.
おお、しけしけ。
Oh, I'm so sorry. She tries to apologize. She's like an old man. And then over there. Good morning. Looks like Kurumi's headache has completely subsided during our absence. A thin film of hot milk rises to the surface of the mug in her right hand. Drink most people often have when they're sick. However, since Kurumi looks fine, it doesn't seem to suit her.
おう、くるみたんどうですか？
How are you feeling?
ちょっと横になったら。
After my nap, I got better.
ああ、それはよかったよか。あ
Yuka suddenly leans forward and points to the mug in Kurumi's hand. Specifically, she's pointing to her. You finished Outer Wilds DLC. I gotta play more Outer Wilds. I'm getting through all of these games because I really like them, and I want to have an archive of me playing through them for the future.
私、たった
I have just come up with something
し
amazing.
まいました。 くるみとホット
What do you
ミ
get
ルク。
when you cross Kurumi with milk? Oh no. Kurumi is dumbfounded by this. You can tell by her expression that she has no idea what to expect from this drunk woman.
配分よ。
It's a joke. It's a joke.
くるみとホット
What do you get when you cross Kurumi with milk?
くるみとホットミルク。
Kurumi milk. Well done. Well done, Yuka-san. Really, it's kind of lame if you ask me.
でしょ
Shut up, party pooper. It's clear that they are in their own world. Ah. That'll be something to keep in mind. I pick my ears and look at the ceiling, looking at the lamp for some reason. And then after the long laughter finally ends, she's depressed now. She lets out a big sigh and suddenly looks mopey. What's wrong? To You don't mean toilet. Now that I think about it, her face is pretty pale. Toto. Oh. Toro? You mean the fatty part of tuna?
トロが食べたい。
I want to eat Toro.
トロが食べたい。
I want to eat Toro. Oh no. Why so suddenly?
もうトロが食べたいの。とにかくトロが食べたいの。
She really wants fish. I surrender to her overwhelming nonsense. Then isn't it fine if we go to the shopping district and find some?
ダメ。
No,
そんならダメだろ。
that's not good enough.
普通のトロら。
I need fresh Toro. So you can't do that.
釣りに行こっか。
Then we can go fishing.
トロ釣りに行こうよ、ゆうかさん。
Let's go fishing for Toro. You mean fishing for tuna, right?
そっか。ならマグロ。
Let's go fish for tuna. Listen up, Kurumi. It's unfortunate, but we can't go fishing for tuna, right?
おい。
Oh no. Listen to me first, Yuka. We can't go fishing. The waves are too high.
みんなマグロ釣りマグロ。ねえちゃって。
This is gonna end horribly. She has completely lost it. None of us have anything we need to do in particular, so we decide to just go. Of course, we're not after tuna, but right now, those two noisy girls holding hands and skipping down Moon Beach. And for some reason, Haruka is with them. Kurumi is holding her hand while Haruka is awkwardly being forced to walk down the beach with a bewildered expression. Those two probably dragged her along. Watching them is kind of fun, though. So what fish can we catch around here? Oyuhiko cocks his head to the side as he asks. There's a few kinds, but everyone here is a beginner, so why don't we go where we can catch some mackerels or sardines? What about the gear? We can rent some. So we're not fishing at the beach. It's too rocky and you can't catch anything at the beach. The harbor is safer. Moreover, it's more bountiful and easier to do. You must have been here a long time to know this much. Gossip is one of the tools of my trade. I see. When Izumi-san finishes talking, she walks over to a parking lot a bit away from Luna Beach. We follow her to a white lightweight truck used for business, parked over there. It's an old car model that you never see at all these days. There's some sections of chipped paint here and there, and the frame is covered in rust. Are we gonna drive this thing? Saki seems nervous. It's a little far for walking. So you're saying that we'll be riding in the cargo bay in the back? Just live a little. Saki seems to accept this. What about the truck? The battery's dead, isn't it? For some reason or another, I asked Izumi-san this. I really don't know why, though. Her expression seems to momentarily tense up. The roar of the waves breaking against the shore is as loud as the heavy echo of my body's core shaking. That can't be right. I drove this the other day to stock up, and it was perfectly fine then. While she says this, she gets into the car. Huh. The battery is dead. How did you know? First it was the rice, then the earthquake, now this. Is it true then that you do have premonitions? I don't understand it myself, but it's probably what you're thinking. In other words... No, shut the fuck up. You're not having premonitions. Shut the fuck up. You're being stupid. Go away with your silly premonition stuff. Hiko beats me to the punch, leaving me at a loss for words. Just looking at this car state, there's no way it would move. In fact, we were thinking the exact same thing. No offense, but this car doesn't look like it's had maintenance in a long time. His words are intimidating. It leaves me with no room to object. It's just like yesterday, and I think it's safer if I just stay silent. However, Izumi-san doesn't seem to be buying. But in Makoto's case, this isn't the only time he's... Izumi, it doesn't matter, does it? But anyways, we're walking. We're just stuck walking. If we don't hurry up, we won't have any time to go fishing. For better or worse, he manages to brush off the topics of my premonitions aside, not believing them. Now that he mentions it, though, the only way to get to the harbor now is by walking. Hey, Izumi-san. When Ohiko isn't listening, I whisper to Izumi-san. I'll talk to you about it next time. I take my chance to leave her as she tries to search for a reply. Next time. She says this in a way that makes it clear that she doesn't comprehend what's going on. I pretend not to hear and quicken my pace. Besides, the only one who doesn't understand the most is myself. Why did the words, "the battery is dead," come out of my mouth? Somehow I feel like it wasn't me who said it. I'm shrouded by an irritating and uncomfortable sensation. For a short while, I walk through the tranquil rural landscape. The chirping of songbirds and the sight of green plants are calming, a contrast to my chaotic state of mind. Suddenly, I realize that someone's trying to catch up with me. I don't even need to look over my shoulder to tell that it's Izumi-san. Everyone else has already passed me and are walking in front of me. To avoid her questioning, I should go with Kurumi and Saki. Kurumi is completely happy. Since I came in the middle of this conversation, I have no clue what they're talking about. I wouldn't normally butt in, or at least I'd be reluctant to, but I'd rather get everything else off my mind right now. So I bluntly asked Kurumi happy about what? About us. I asked her, aren't we imposing too much on you and your sister? That's why Kurumi said she was completely happy. Wow, so you're even good with that drunkard? I glance at Yuka, who's walking in front of us. For some reason, Kurumi gets along really well with Yuka. It certainly did look that way. And you know what? Kurumi has been here the whole time since spring break began. So Kurumi was getting a little tired of just being alone with Oni-chan. Can Kurumi be honest with you? Until you guys came yesterday, I just wanted to go home. If that's the case, you should have called out to me. I see. Now that she mentions it, Saki came here because of her February exam break. Then again, we only did just meet yesterday, so I guess it couldn't be helped. Saki smiles. Nevertheless, being here since February is a long time. Just what was she doing for 2 months all alone? I continue to think on the matter absent-mindedly. We arrive at the shopping district. Our destination is past the fishing market. Izumi gathers all the necessary gear from the local shop and begins to take charge as she distributes the gear amongst us. Everyone starts heading towards the harbor as they cautiously play with their reels and hooks. I'm about to step forward. Hold on. She grabs my forearm. About what happened earlier. We are going to have a long talk about it later, okay? She leaves me with those words. Although her tone was kind, there's a piercing light in her pupils. It was a threatening gaze that instinctively leaves me unnerved. Hey, Makoto. Several minutes later, someone restrains my upper arm. I turn around and see Yuka, of all people. Hey, it'll be nice if we catch a lot of tuna. The strangely shrill voice. I go to shake Yuka's hand off of me. Tuna? What the hell are you saying? She narrows her eyebrows. I notice that all traces of her drunkenness have vanished. If anything, she just looks kind of pale. Seems that she's sobered up. More importantly,
やっぱり釣り
Maybe we shouldn't go fishing after all. Why are you saying this now?
なんかこう嫌な予
I have a bad feeling about this.
でも
A very bad feeling. Weren't you the one who said I want to eat fresh toro in the first place?
知ってるよ知って
I
るけど
know, but you're saying it's because I was drunk when I said that?
そういう
No. Then what's going on? Just tell me. Everyone else is pumped up for this. With my fishing rod, I point to the others who are far ahead of us.
でも
But before she can say any more, Yuka stops herself from speaking. She hangs her head defeated. What kind of bad feeling is it anyways?
そんなのはっきりとは言えないよ
It's just, I have a vague sense of anxiety.
例えば
Anxiety. Let's see.
誰かが
It's like
本の上に乗って
seeing someone standing on a pile of
取ろうと
books,
している時とか
trying to reach something off a high shelf.
そういう時って
Wouldn't you feel anxious if you saw that happening? I get what you're trying to say, but fishing isn't something you can really compare to standing on a pile of books.
もう全然わかってない
Don't get it at all. I get it. I really don't, but I can't think of anything else to say. I give her a nod while gently prying her hand off of me. Give her a light push, which causes her to pick up her reluctant march to the harbor. The fragrant stench of sullen tides overwhelm us, and those of us who are fishing have spread out on the pier. It's a rather peaceful scene. Yuka is standing on the pier, twisting her fishing line around her finger. She still looks very anxious. Bad feeling, huh? Yuka, can I talk to you for a second? About what you said earlier. Is that a premonition? Yuka's expression warps, as I'm about to continue speaking. We suddenly hear the echo of Saki's voice. Yuka and I turn around. On the top of the pier, we see Saki in the middle of shaking Haruka off. However, Haruka refuses to budge and tries to block her path. We can't hear what they're saying. However, I've never seen Haruka so angry before. Saki shakes her head and appears to be in astonishment, as Haruka forces her to move back. Then Saki runs up to the tip of the pier. Oyuhiko begins to run towards Haruka, who's as still as a statue.
なんだろう
What's wrong? Let's go see. So we're about to walk towards them. Saki screams. At the same time, the booming roar of the waves breaks out. What a monstrous wave. The unbelievably large wave strikes the pier with a large sheet of water. As it strikes, the wave devours Saki and drags her into the ocean. We're frozen in place. This is incredibly sudden, and it's snatched away my sense of reality. It feels as if I'm watching a scene from a movie. Just then, Izumi-san dives into the ocean off the tip of the pier. Oh no, that's suicide. I grab Yuka by the hand as we run towards the tip. By the time we reach it, Saki and Izumi-san are nowhere to be seen in the ocean. Oyuhiko, Haruka, and Kirumi also come running over. Kirumi's face is completely drained of blood. I'll dive in too. I focus on the raging sea. Yuka is taken back when she realizes what I'm about to do. You'll drown if you do that. Then what the hell should we do? Are you saying we should just stay here and watch?
どうして
Why? Confused by her argument, Haruka
どう
asks,
して
Why are you so desperate, Makoto? Because Saki and Izumi-san might die.
誠まで危険を冒すことない
Even
で
so, you're not the one in danger, right? Well, we need to help them. You understand?
な
Haruka
らない
doesn't understand. Even if it might be useless, I feel the want to save them. That's just empathy.
思いやり
Empathy. Haruka lowers her head, pondering this. Perhaps she really doesn't understand. I'm about to dive into the ocean, but then someone grabs my arm. It's Kirumi.
姉ちゃんも
Believe in Onei-chan.
大丈夫だから
She'll definitely be fine. Her eyes are brimming with tears. Her suffering is far greater than mine right now. Izumi-san is her blood sister. Nevertheless, for this reason, Kurumi believes in Izumi-san. I understand. I trust her as well. Once again, I look out at the sea. That's why you have to return safely. Izumi-san, Saki. The wave coils into a whirlpool. We're all silent and unmoving. It feels as if we ever even spoke or moved a little, everything would end. It's as if time itself is frozen. The wave begins to quietly pull back. Just then, Izumi-san and Saki's face emerges. Suddenly, time seems to move again and everyone's anxiety is lifted. Izumi-san is the only one swimming, frantically moving her arms across the water. It seems Saki is unconscious. The giant wave surges forward, and Izumi-san rides it, washing up on the banks with Saki's body. The rest of us descend onto the bank's edge to join them. Saki's face is completely pale. For some reason, her expression is strikingly beautiful. Perhaps because of that, none of us dare reach our hands out to them, our feet rooted to the ground. Finally, soaking wet, Izumi-san manages to firmly stand up. Since Oyuhiko is closer to Saki, he carries her up to the bank. Look after her for a while. I'm going to go get some help. Kurumi tails Izumi-san, still standing on the frozen beach. I'm still standing on the beach. It's not just me. Yuka and Haruka are the same.
Saki-chan! Saki-chan!
Oyuhiko lays Saki down on the bank and slaps Saki's cheeks. Have you come to your senses? Do you know who I am? We frantically rush over towards them. Saki's eyes flutter open, and she blankly stares at Oyuhiko. I hear the stir of many people approaching us. When I turn around, I see Izumi-san is leading them, with Kurumi behind her. Has Saki come to her senses? I nod, and Izumi-san falls to her knees as she lets out a sigh of relief. Kurumi desperately tries to stop her sister from collapsing. I look at Saki, who is still firmly staring at Oyuhiko. We went to a clinic located just outside the shopping district. It only has one sick room, with pieces of wallpaper peeled off here and there. The bed she's lying on has springs that creak every time she moves. Though she had no external wounds and was clearly conscious, the doctor examined her to be safe. There weren't any particular serious issues. The doctor just wants her to stay overnight, just in case. He said it'd only be for one night. I didn't know what would happen there. It seems humans can't die that easily after all. What's that supposed to mean? Did she want to die? I tried to read her expression. Up until now, I haven't seen any signs of her being suicidal. Then those probably aren't her true feelings, if that's the case. Anyway, it seems I must thank you. You have my gratitude. Saki says this without making eye contact with anyone. That's not how you thank people. Yuka shouts at Saki, offended by her behavior. It's fine, isn't it? Anyways, it's not that important. Well, that's true, but that's right. It's not like you were swallowed by. It's not like you were swallowed up by a wave. Saki, cut the. Stop it, Yuka. That's enough. I pacify Yuka. I think I understand Saki's feelings. It's likely that Saki's simply embarrassed. She's just that kind of girl. More importantly, what are we going to do now? Doesn't seem like we can stay here the entire time with Saki. We don't need to. Let's head back to our shop. Settle down. As for Saki-chan, Kurumi will stay with her. Just Kurumi? You need to be helpful to others every once in a while. Think of this as atonement for your failing to deliver the pizza. No fair! That wasn't even my fault. You're not going to listen to your sister? Why do you have to put it that way? Kurumi gets it. Jeez. As we leave for Luna Beach, Kurumi pouts as she stays behind in the sick room. Everyone seems to be at ease on the way back. I guess you could say that the tension in the atmosphere is somehow unwinded. Everybody seems to be relieved that everything turned out alright. Fiery red sunset is probably also contributing to the calm. However, I'm probably the only one still anxious. It's because of Yuka's word before we arrived at the harbor. She had a bad feeling about this. She was right. Looking back on it, I regret that I didn't listen to what Yuka said that time. As I walk down the road, I look over my shoulder. Right now, she is happily smiling while engrossed in a conversation with Izumi-san, who is walking by her side. Bad feeling, huh? My mind becomes foggy as if enveloped in a thick mist. When we return to Luna Beach, we casually relax on the open terrace and continue to chat. We mainly talk about what we were all thinking and doing when Saki was swallowed by that monstrous wave, and praising Izumi-san for her heroic act of diving into the ocean and saving her. Izumi-san is unaware of all the compliments she's receiving, because she's alone in the kitchen using whatever food she has to prepare us dinner. We're all ecstatic to eat her wonderful cooking again. In 10 years, it wouldn't surprise me if Izumi-san becomes a world-renowned chef. After dinner, we all go down to Moon Beach and sit in a circle. We don't really have a reason for doing so. It's just that the moon is so blue tonight. What's the tip of that cope? Yuka points to the southeast to illustrate her question. Following her finger, I see a cliff protruding out to the ocean where the light is revolving around the tip. That's a lighthouse, right, Izumi? I wouldn't say whether it's obvious or not, but you're right, it is a lighthouse. Under the lighthouse is Viewpoint Park. It's said that the scenery from there is the greatest. Express your feelings on the Cape of Affection and carry out those feelings at the Cove of Love. What's that? It's an old tradition on this island. If a man and woman confess their feelings for each other under that lighthouse, it is said their affection will bear fruit. And then, in order to complete their love, they go to the nearby cove. In other words, it's at Princess Beach where their love will bear fruit. Their love will bear fruit? Right. Ordinarily, Princess Beach... Himegahama got its name from Himegoto, Wasuruhama, the Beach of Secrets. Secrets. Right, secrets. As she says this, Izumi-san furiously blushes. Haruka, I can't go too in-depth about it. She tilts her head questioningly. Well, from what I've seen of the map, I've seen another cape that's near here. Huh? Yes, are you talking about that cape that's a bit to the west of Viewpoint Park? That's it. And you know, I was thinking that if there's a cape of affection, then perhaps there's something special about that one as well. Why do you think that? You don't know. On the map, there's a marker of a shrine's archway near the tip of that cove. In other words, there's a shrine there, right, Izumi-san? Yes, there is. She's very uneasy about it, though. I was thinking that if you confessed in front of the shrine instead of under the lighthouse, it'd be as though you were receiving great divine blessings. I see. Everyone's eyes turn towards Izumi-san. We wait for that answer. Soon enough. No. She shakes her head and continues. Something like that is absolutely impossible. You see, the truth is, it's a place with a dark history that not even the locals will approach. She begins telling us the story in a slow, quiet voice. That shrine, its official name is Shikinomori Shrine. But they say, long ago, was known as the Grove of Demons. Written as Shikinomori. It's the kanji. I guess it's both the same. In other words, it was built to worship the god of demons, or so they say. Izumi-san continues to explain while writing two different ways of spelling Shikinomori in the sand. This means that the god of demons was literally the fierce god who rules over death. He was brutal, evil god that would curse and kill people. According to this story, back then, people thought that epidemics and disasters were caused by the anger of the demon god, so they would offer living sacrifices in order to appease him. Or so the legend says. But you know, a legend is a legend after all. Just like the Headless Horseman is the Headless Horseman, right? Of course, I also dismissed this as just myth or folklore. I used to anyway. But then... So this is where everyone was! We turn to find a girl running towards us, kicking up white clouds of sand as she moves across the beach. Kurumi? Saki told me to come home, so I came back. She lets out a giant sigh and catches her breath. What were you talking about just now? Why are you all sitting in a circle? Could it be that you're performing a UFO summoning ritual? Not quite UFOs, but it's a ghost story. It's not a ghost story, it's a demon story. Weren't you listening at all? I was listening. Ghosts, demons. What's the difference? They're completely different in my opinion. In my opinion. What about those demons? They live in a nearby temple. It's not a temple, it's a shrine. And whoever said they lived here anyway. Wow, a shrine, huh? Izumi-san was telling us a rumor about that shrine just now. You've never heard of that shrine before? Nope, first time I've heard of it. Well, isn't that exciting? It seems Kurumi loves these kinds of stories. Her eyes lights up. as she sits down on the sandy beach.
さあ泉さん続きをどうぞ
Izumi-san, will you continue your story? Yes. However, for some reason, Izumi-san doesn't speak. She hangs her head down quietly, just staring firmly at some spot on the beach.
泉さん
Upon hearing Yuka's coaxing voice, Izumi-san finally breaks out of her stupor and slowly raises her head.
と どこまで話したっけ
Where was I?
泉さんも最初は作り話だろうと思っ
It was when you thought it was initially a myth.
そっかそう
I was doubtful, but then
それから地元の
I
漁師
started to hear
農家のおばあちゃん
more from local
いろんな
fishermen,
人から
the old farmer lady, and several other people.
ただの作り話じゃ
I
つまらない
couldn't dismiss it as a single myth anymore
あの神社で
when I
発生している
learned
ことが
that in reality several incidents had occurred at that shrine.
みんなは神隠し
Everyone,
です
do you know what it means to be spirited away?
神隠し何の前触れもなく
It's when a person suddenly disappears without warning.
そう
Right.
今で
Nowadays, it's called a disappearance
シス
or an absconding.
実は
The truth is, something like that spiriting away happened
あ
at
の
that
時
shrine.
簡単に言ってしまうと
Putting it simply, several people,
出かけて行って
dozens of
戻っ
people,
てこなかった人が何人も
traveled to that shrine over time and never came back.
まさかそんなこと。
あるの
It isn't.
現実にあったの
It isn't. It's really what happened.
地元の新聞だけで
Not only was it published in the local papers, it was announced on national news.
その事件の
Still, countless disappearances have happened over time, again and again.
これは私が
I even confirmed this information with the records at the island's town hall.
島の人たちはその
The people on this
神
island
隠し事件のことを
say that this series of spiriting away incidents
四季の神が地獄に
from the
引きずり込んだ
people being cursed or dragged to hell by the god of demons.
さすがに私も四季の神がどうこうって
Of
ところま
course.
では信じられないけれど
I don't quite share the same beliefs.
まあとにかく
Even so,
で以来
ever since that, no one ever goes near the Shikinomori shrine anymore. Ooh. The cold night's wind stirs the beach's sands. Every few seconds, the lighthouse's revolving beacon passes through the deep blue darkness. The perpetual continuing sound of the waves still echoes solemnly.
ねえみんな
Hey guys,
これからミステ
after this, do you want to go on a mystery tour? Her sudden request breaks the silence. Mystery tour?
その問題の
Let's check out the Shikinomori shrine and see if the rumors are true or not.
なんだか面白い
Well, that sounds fun, doesn't it? Just then,
ダメよ
no way. Absolutely not. Izumi-san admonishes Kurumi with an unusually serious expression.
なんで
But why can't I go to the shrine where everyone disappears and vanishes?
なんでも
Why not?
くるみ
Weren't you
そん
listening?
なことは冗談なん
I
じゃない
told you it wasn't a joke. Understand?
わかってるよだけど
But if we only look at it from a distance,
ほ
then
らわかってない全然わかってないじゃない
you don't understand, Kurumi.
だってじゃない
No buts. No means no.
のいいわかった
All right? Do you understand?
うー
Boo. Honestly speaking, there's no reason behind Izumi-san being so upset. Regardless, as an outsider, her words have a threatening, coercive feeling to them that is so terrifying it makes me tremble with fear. Is the Shikinomori shrine really that dangerous? It's a bit hard for me to understand.
それじゃあ泉さんくるみちゃんおやすみなさい
Good night.
気をつけて帰ってね
Be careful on your way back, okay? Izumi-san's gentle self returns.
バイバイ
Kurumi also stopped whining, and I see no signs of her being in a bad mood. Well then, see you later. Once everyone finishes saying their goodbyes, the two sisters disappear into their shop. Or so I think.
あ、忘れてた。
I almost forgot. Kurumi comes out again, throwing the door open with all of her might.
そういえば、
There's something she had to tell you.
さきさん、おっくんに会いたがってたよ。
Saki-san wants to see Okun.
おっくん？おっくん？
おっくん。
奥彦くんのこと。
え？お兄ちゃん？
Oni-chan.
お兄ちゃん？
Oni-chan.
お兄ちゃん？
By the way, Kurumi has also decided to call Makoto-kun Oni-chan. That's why I skipped. Oni-chan? Why do you want to call me Big Brother?
だってくるみ、お兄ちゃんいないか
Because I don't have a big brother. So because you don't have an older brother, you've decided to just call me Oni-chan.
らなるもん。
Of course.
お兄ちゃんがいないと。
A girl who doesn't have a brother could call someone who is like an older brother Oni-chan. Someone who is like a brother. Me.
くるみの中では、
Yeah.
お兄ちゃんが一番
To Kurumi, Oni-chan is the most big brother-like person she has. Got it? Got it. Before I realize it, I'm following her lead. For some mysterious reason, when she keeps calling me that, I feel like a real older brother. Could this be that so-called power of suggestion that I've been hearing about?
そんなことはどうでもいいんだって。
None of this really matters.
それよりもおっくん、
Anyway,
ちゃんと伝えたか
now you know, Okun.
何が？
What do you
ら
mean?
の話。
Kurumi just told you. Saki-chan wants to see you, Okun. That's what Kurumi means.
さきちゃんが。
Saki wants to see me?
そう。
That's right. She wants to see you. We walk towards the lodge.
おい石原。
Ishihara. What is it?
もちろん君も行くんだろうな。
You'll come with me, right?
決まってじゃ
Where?
ないか。
Isn't it obvious?
お見舞いだよ。
To see Saki. Why me? You're the one who was invited. However, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried about her. What should I do? This has nothing to do with me. If you're going, then go alone.
ずいぶん冷たいやつだな。
You're a cold bastard, Ishihara. Besides, you're the one she has a thing for. I tease Oyuhiko, jabbing his shoulder mockingly with my finger.
僕はそういうの苦手なんだよ。
I'm not good at these kinds of things. I see. Sucks to be you, then. I walk away to leave him behind with those sarcastic words. When I return to the lodge, I take a bath, and once I'm out, I decide to try inviting Haruka into my room so I can directly ask her about what happened between her and Saki. I think asking her straight would be the best way. If I tell her that I saw her and Saki arguing at the pier, then I can settle this right away. What were you arguing about with her? It's fine if you don't want to tell me.
釣りのやり方を教わろうと思って。
I thought she could teach me how to fish, but she wouldn't teach me. That's not true. I clearly understand that. Even so, the words that come out of my mouth are, talk about a spoiled rich girl. Even though that's not the problem
いい
here.
の。私は違うし。
I'm different. It's fine. How
な
so?
いから。
Because I have no heart.
釣りなんか。
It's fine if I can't fish. You have no heart.
ないの。
None. She doesn't have a heart. What does this mean? Haruka seems to be dwelling on something by herself. Haruka has never opened her heart to us. Is it because she really thinks she has no heart? Well, then if that's the case, I'll teach you. How to fish. You want to learn how to fish, right?
本当に教えてくれるの？
You really will? This time, I'm the one to nod. Now that I think about it, up until now, I've never really tried to learn about Haruka. If she wants to learn how to fish, then I'll give her all the help she needs. I want to get to know her better and start to understand her feelings. I want to understand the depth of the emotions of this girl who says she has no heart. After that, won't it be alright to ask her about Saki? That's what I think. Tomorrow, the two of us will go fishing. Right? It's a promise.
約束
A promise. That's right. A promise.
どうして約束なんてできるの？
How can we make something like that a promise?
明日のことなんてわからないじゃない？
You don't know what will happen tomorrow. We'll go tomorrow no matter what happens. That's what we've decided.
どうして決められるの？
How can you decide that? That's because I trust you.
信じる。
Trust.
私も
And you trust
信
me?
じる。
I trust you too. That's right. Without mutual trust, a promise means nothing.
信じ合う。
Mutual trust. Yeah.
私と
So then you and I can trust each other. That's right. When tomorrow comes, don't forget this promise. Keep it no matter what happens, alright? Haruka slowly nods. It looks like she wanted to say something. Like this, she'll learn more and more. Slowly but surely, her heart will be born. Even Haruka should be able to realize that. That's what I think. The clear morning light shines in. For once, I wake up in eager anticipation. I can't help but feeling anxious about what Haruka will do. Will she keep her promise with me or not? When I enter the living room, Yuka and Kurumi are already there. There's toast sitting on the table. Morning.
あ、誠、おはよう。おーす、お兄ちゃん。
They actually have something edible for once.
どういう意味よ。
What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Where did this come
お
from?
姉ちゃんが作ってくれたの。やっぱ持つべきものは姉妹だよね。
Oneshan made it. See, you can count on us for all your needs. Sound like you're in a good mood.
兄ちゃん、さ、早く食べていこうよ。
Let's eat and get going. Where to?
決まってます。
We're gonna play tennis.
は、言ってなかったけど、今日はそういう予定。
I see I can't.
何？班長命令。
What? These are your group leader's orders, you know. I take it you didn't tell Haruka either?
何？いきなり怖い顔して。
What's with that scary face all of a
はる
sudden?
かさんはまだ起きてないよ。
She hasn't woken up. Same with Okun. I see.
お腹すいた。車
I'm starving. Can we eat now?
そうね。いっただき
You're right. Let's eat. Let's eat. We all begin eating the toast. However, I'm more worried about Haruka. It has no flavor to me. Just as I'm finishing eating, Haruka comes running into the living room. Ohiko rushes after her.
何約束？
Promise? What
今
promise?
日は釣りに行くの。
I'm going fishing today.
いいじゃん。
Fishing? That's fine. I'll teach you how to do it. So let's go together, okay?
と、今日の予定はテニス。
We're scheduled to play tennis today. God damn it.
テニス？はるか？今日は私いいなんて言わせないからね。班長命令なんだから。
Can't say I'll pass today. That's going against group leader's orders. She looks at me with a troubled
そ
expression.
うだよ、はるかちゃん。やっぱテニスでしょ。釣りなんてじじくさい。
That's right, Haruka-chan. As planned, we're going to play tennis. Fishing is just for old geezers anyways.
したの。
I made a promise.
いいじゃない。その約
It's fine. Just cancel that promise.
守らなきゃいけないの。
I have to keep my promise no matter what.
それが
It's something that shows we trust each other.
はるか。約束は
I have to keep my promise no matter what.
はるかさん。約束って。
Who did you make that promise with?
それは
It was with me. Haruka and I are going fishing today. We're not going to play tennis.
どうして石原が？
Why is Ishihara saying that? Is it true, Haruka-chan? Yes. So we'll be going now. Sorry, Yuka, but we're going to have to ignore your orders.
まあいいけど、班長だって別に権力者
That's
じゃない。
fine. I'm not a dictator after all.
ちょっと待って優香ちゃん
Just hold on, Yuka-chan.
ダメだよ
You can't let them off this easy.
君は
Ishihara, you still don't understand
ってのは
the basis of the seminar campus group activities, isn't it? You have no right to say that.
なんだって
What was that? I leave the living room. Haruka quickly follows me. However, Oyuhiko is hot on her heels.
待ってよはるかちゃん
Wait, Haruka-chan, what happened between you and Ishihara?
約束だから。
We made a promise.
そんなの理由になってないよ
That's not an
石原と昨日
explanation.
何かあったんだね
Yesterday, what happened between you two?
奥彦に話すことじゃない。
I'm not going to tell you.
どうして
Why not?
私と
This is something between me and Makoto. It doesn't concern you,
関
Oyuhiko.
係。
はるかちゃん
At that moment, Saki comes in carrying a basket. She glances at Oyuhiko as she places it on the table. She is kind of cheerful this morning.
おはよう皆さん。
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your concern yesterday. She optimistically voiced ends our argument, anticlimactically.
どうした？あ、さっき
What's going on?
ことじゃないんだけどね。
I missed a lot of dialogue. Hang on. What's wrong? Why are you all silent? Oh, is it me? I just got discharged from the clinic. That's not it, Saki.
何？
Then what?
私の何？
Is it something else about me?
だからさっきのこと。
No, it's not about you, Saki.
それ何ですか、さきさん？
How is that, Saki-chan? She points to the basket and Saki throws Oyuhiko a quick glance.
奥彦くん。
Oyuhiko, I tried making these. What do you think? She opens the basket, which contains small sandwiches that are neatly lined up.
うわー、かわいい。さきさん、これ奥くんのために？
Saki, did you make these for Oyuhiko?
だからどうかなってそれ
I
だけ
made them on the whim. That's all, I swear.
見てよ、奥くん。よかったね。この幸せ者。
Okun, you're quite the lucky guy, huh?
さすがだねさきちゃん僕が
Impressive,
好きなものわかるんだ
You know exactly what I liked.
あ、
What should I?
僕
I'm happy. I wordlessly stare in shock. Suddenly, Haruka grabs my hand and starts to drag me along as I look at her in surprise. She takes me outside, avoiding eye contact with Saki. Oyuhiko frantically tries to go after us. At that moment, Saki grabs his arm with her
奥
hand.
彦くん、テニスに行く気ないかな。コート取ってあるんだけど。
Oyuhiko-san, don't you feel like playing tennis? I was hoping we could play at the court.
いいね
Sounds good.
そういうこと
Fishing is just for old geezers anyways. I wouldn't want to do that.
釣り？
Fishing?
なあなんでもないさすがだ
It's nothing. I'm impressed,
僕がテニス好きだ
Saki-chan.
ってわかるの
You knew I like tennis. I smirk as I listen to Oyuhiko's spiteful voice. Serves you right. Damn, this feels good. Looks like karma does exist after all. Haruka and I begin to walk, enjoying the gentle breeze. I make an effort to talk about as many cheerful topics as possible. She doesn't respond often. I can't tell if she's uninterested or just doesn't want to talk. Suddenly, Haruka grabs my arm. Turning my head around, I see her looking with a serious expression. Her normally expressionless face is getting increasingly intense, and it feels like her whole body is tensing up.
私、約束守った。守ったよね。
I kept my promise, didn't I? Yeah, you did. I give Haruka the kindest smile I can muster. Yes. Haruka nods. Her intense expression loosens up a bit. She seems a little happy. Seemingly pleased by my satisfactory response, the tension in her body relaxes. Just then, she's taken aback by noticing my arm. She lets go as she hangs her head down. I see. She's like a child. She walks with me on with the tottering steps of one who knows nothing. I think it's rather cute. At that time our eyes meet. There's something strikingly beautiful about her intensity startling me. It's a strange feeling that makes me feel kind of unbalanced. Once we arrive at the pier, I prepare all the fishing gear. Absent-mindedly, we eat the bread Haruka bought for us on the way here. It seems boring, but keeping my promise to Haruka is the only important thing to me at the moment, so I don't mind. I'll be right back. What did I do with it? I have something. There we go. Sometimes I do a little bit of ASMR. All right. seems boring, but keeping my promise to Haruka is the only important thing to me at this moment. When I finish preparing the gear, I hand one of the rods to Haruka. She then casts her line into the sea. I cast mine, which settles down next to
これ
hers.
からどうするの？
What do we do from now on?
We wait for Mr. Enemy to take a nibble.
敵さん？
Mr. Enemy? I mean the fish.
待つの？
So I wait. When your float sinks, the match
勝
begins.
負？
Right. That's why the fish is Mr. Enemy.
私
I don't understand.
心がないから
I wonder if it's because I have no heart that I don't understand. Those things aren't even remotely related. You kept your promise with me, right? Then it's clear you have a Haruka. Haruka's float sinks into the ocean. The line is dragged down with intense strength, and Haruka instinctively pulls on the rod with all of her might. Mr. Enemy seems to be a lightweight fish, so it's easily caught. I take the agitated fish off the hook to show Haruka. She takes it back into her arms and suddenly releases it back into the ocean. Hey, what's that about?
私には
It's because I have no heart. What are you saying? Did you let it go because you wanted to save it? No, because I have no heart.
逃がし
I let it escape. Just what is that?
は
Humans struggle against each other
でしょ
because they have hearts, right?
心を持ってるから
They kill each other because they have hearts, right?
世界中に殺戮
The whole world is full of massacre because people have hearts, right? That's wrong. I object, though I don't have any clear answer. She asks me why I won't know how to respond. Still, I hope she doesn't believe that. I hope that Haruka's whole interpretation of humans isn't solely based on one awful aspect. My hope is, like a parent wishing that their child grows up to be honest. True, Haruka's thoughts aren't wrong, but humans are much more complex than just
ど
that.
うして
Why? The question I've dreaded finally comes. I seek a compelling answer for Haruka, but nothing is coming out. Haruka is firmly staring at me, waiting for me to speak. From the start, people don't think about trying to kill each other, but rather trying to love each other. What the hell am I saying? I'm sure that in the olden days, people were taught about loving each other and living in peace.
愛し合う
Loving each other. That's right. There's a world full of peace. Why am I talking so high and mighty about this? Why is it that I take the role of a teacher who loves preaching in this style whenever I'm with Haruka?
どのくらい昔かな
How long ago do you think those olden days were? That's,
竹取物語
have you ever read The Tale of the Bamboo Cutter? Well, a little. I'm lying. I've never read it, but it's the story of Princess Kaguya, right? For the time being, I pretend I'll know it.
かぐや姫よね
Princess Kaguya had her suitors compete against each other by forcing unreasonable demands upon them, right? Yeah, that's right. They were to obtain certain treasures from the ends of the earth to the peaks of the mountains. One of them had to retrieve a burning cloth. The other had to get the eye of a dragon. Another had to get the eye of a dragon. What about it?
それはどうでもいいんだけど
That doesn't really matter. I see. I'm crushed, even though I did my best to remember all of
た
that.
だああや
All I'm saying is that people in the olden days did compete against each other.
誠が言った昔って
The past you spoke of was probably long, long time ago from now.
本
A
当に
past as far away as a dream. Far away. No, but you see, the suitors were in competition against each other as a result of their love for the Princess Kaguya. That's right. There's a chance that even Princess Kaguya loved her suitors, and because of that, she did that kind of stuff to test their love. And they did, because the suitors and Princess Kaguya loved each other, and they competed and tested. They did this to probably try and ascertain their feelings for each other. Ascertain. Haruka ponders over this. Whether it's a good or bad thing, I don't think Haruka understands this way of thinking. I feel a little happy and lonely. Like the feeling a father gets when his daughter grows up to leave the nest. And then, once again, Haruka's fishing line quickly drags towards the sea. Look, Haruka, you got another bite. Don't let it go. She quickly grasps the fishing rod tightly and jerks it backwards. The fish in the water swims from left to right. I go behind Haruka and we pull in the fishing rod together, our hands on top of each other. It happens so naturally. Haruka is wrapped up in pulling the fishing rod, like a father. That's probably how I'm feeling right now. The feeling of hoping a child grows up quickly, while hoping they forever remain ignorant of the idea of love between man and a woman. Just like the current Haruka. Haruka's serious face, which seems to be shining to me, is something I feel I want to protect. And so we didn't stop fishing until the late afternoon. We only took a break to head back to Luna Beach for lunch. We caught nothing since Haruka released every fish she caught. Nevertheless, it was fun. Afterwards, we returned to the fishing and remained up until now. I decided to try and ask her about Saki. About what happened between you and Saki. When you told me you two were talking about fishing, that was a lie, wasn't it? Yes. Then what was it? What did you say to Saki? If I tell you that, will you answer honestly? Of course. Really? I promise. She puts away the fishing rods, then looks at me. Have you ever kissed someone? A kiss. What is it? Is this what you were asking Saki? Yes. I wanted to ask her if she'd kissed someone before. She's lying again. Judging by how those two were acting at the time, there's no way they were talking about that. Even so, I say... I haven't. What kind of response is that? Haruka drops her head in disappointment. Just what did you want to hear? Have you ever wanted to kiss someone? I don't know how to respond to that. Shouldn't ask something like that. Is that right? Yeah. Then why do people kiss? It's to demonstrate their love and confirm their feelings for each other. Confirm. It's difficult to explain with words. Then let's kiss. Let's kiss. She draws her face close to mine, and her expression begins to overwhelm my senses. My heart feels like it's bursting out of my chest. I still glance at her face. I can't kiss you. For a reason like that. Then does that mean you don't have any affection for me, Makoto? No, it's not like that. Alright. I understand. Close your eyes. I like that music, by the way. As I speak, Haruka closes her eyes, and I stare at her face. Her cheeks quiver like jelly from nervousness. Her beckoning small lips glisten. I gently kiss her on the forehead. It's just a peck that lasts for a moment. For some reason, I feel embarrassed and quickly draw back. Her eyes suddenly open and she stares at me.
これが
This is... When I return, Haruka's gaze is faint. When I return her gaze, a faint blush appears on her cheeks. She quickly averts her gaze towards the ground. I can't comprehend how I feel. It's like happiness, but I can't quite explain it. The sun is setting, and I decide to finish putting away the fishing gear. Our heightened awareness of each other made the trip back to the lodge a quiet one. Once we return, it still feels kind of awkward, so we retreat to our respective rooms. Thank God Yuka and the others aren't back yet. Once I finish changing, I throw myself onto the bed. Haruka's face faintly forms in the ceiling. What do I think of Haruka? Do I really just think of her like a daughter? Even so, we kissed. No, it was just on the forehead. Why didn't I kiss her on the lips? At that moment, I hear Oyuhiko's voice. As I get out of bed, I wonder what's going on. He sounds furious. I throw the window to find Oyuhiko on the terrace. He's approaching someone against the wall while yelling at them. I'm getting a bad feeling about this, so I rush out of my room. I open the front door and look towards the terrace. I can see Oyuhiko's back. He's talking to Haruka. From here, I can hear their conversation clearly. Why'd you go fishing with Ishihara? What do you see in that asshole? Makoto is kind to me. Ishihara? He's a vulgar bastard. In any case, it's clear as day he has an ulterior motive. We trust each other. You wouldn't understand. You're the one who doesn't understand about Ishihara. What's going on between me and Makoto is none of your concern. You're wrong. It does concern me, Haruka-chan. Just then, Haruka shoves him aside as she tries to walk away. Before she can, Oyuhiko turns around and quickly grabs her by the arm. At that time, their eyes lock onto me. A blush rapidly spreads across Haruka's face. Oyuhiko loudly clicks his tongue and lets go of Haruka's arm. When I step onto the terrace, Haruka runs right towards me. You sure do have a way with the ladies, almighty Oyuhiko. Shut up. You don't have the right to say anything. Whatever, Haruka. Let's go. Wait, tell him straight. About me and you. About how we trust each other. No matter what happens. Isn't that right? Wait a minute. Tell Oyuhiko that doesn't concern him. Tell him that we're the only ones who understand. What's this all about? Why aren't you saying anything? Is she trying to confirm my feelings for her? Up until earlier, wasn't she the one that didn't understand that? In my silence, Haruka delivers the final blow. Are you saying we can't trust each other? That's not it. That's not it. So you don't think of anything of me at all, even though you gave me a kiss? You kissed her? You son of a bitch. Haruka, it wasn't like that at all earlier. It wasn't about how I felt about you. It was because... At that instant, Oyuhiko punches me right in my face, making me fall to my knees. How could you do that to her? She doesn't belong to you, damn it. I spit out my saliva and stand up. Oyuhiko sees Haruka's shoulders. Haruka-chan, what's so good about this irresponsible bastard? I'm different. I'm beyond a level of trust with you. I love you. You don't understand. Look at me. The man who loves you is right here. Haruka turns her way ahead of Oyuhiko and looks at me. Her expression darkens. I don't understand because I have no heart. Stop it, Oyuhiko. Haruka is starting to find her heart.
引っ込んでいたまえ。
Stay out of
もう
this.
愛してもいない。
You'll never love her. You've already got plenty of other girls, you know. What about Saki? Why are you constantly hitting on her if you don't even like her?
あれは君、彼女の恋に応えてやったまでのことじゃ。
You're just trying to take advantage of Haruka's goodwill. Don't screw with me. You've been jealous ever since Haruka and I made our promise, right? That's why you chose Saki. Just who do you think Saki is?
さっき取り上げるからいつ
She's
も
always stealing from me.
大丈夫だよ、はるかちゃん。さきちゃんのことは関係ない。僕はあの子のことなんかどうでもいい。なんとも思っちゃいないんだ。
I don't care about Saki, I promise, Haruka. Dry sound echoes. Taken aback, we all turn towards the sound. Saki is standing frozen by the door, carrying her basket. By her feet are tennis rackets scattered about.
私
I'll be going now.
それじゃ
Farewell.
違うんだ、さきちゃん。これには訳が。
You're wrong, Saki-chan. There's a reason for it. Saki begins to run away, and Ohiko rushes after her. She violently slaps his extended hand away, and I frantically jump out of the front door. At that time, Yuka and Kurumi return while laughing about something. Saki throws the basket onto the staircase, then vexingly crushes it with her foot. She crushes it. The sound of the wood snapping is heard. The basket is now broken apart. Plastic tableware scatters everywhere.
どうしちゃったの
Yuka and Kurumi rush towards us. Their expressions completely changed. Saki won't calm down. Shit, what should I do? Saki, calm down. Getting angry and going on a rampage won't accomplish anything. She looks at me. The anger in her eyes is blazing like an inferno. Shit. She's all boiled up with rage. I'm terrified because of her strong feelings towards Ohiko. Obvious that she hates him for the heartbreak she just put her through. Saki-chan, please calm down for now. This might be a huge misunderstanding on everyone's part. Let's talk about it together and sort this out.
話し合い
Talk about this together. Yes, that's good. Let's do it, right, Saki? I place a hand on her shoulder, and in that instant, she violently flings it off her.
慣れ慣れしく触らないで
Don't touch me like I'm your friend. Saki's expression is even angrier than before. I just added fuel to the fire.
話し合いですって
Talk about it together.
余地がどこにあるって
Just
いう
where the hell
お友
would we
達ごっ
do
こは
that?
うんざりだわ
I'm fed up with playing buddy-buddy with all of you. I try to open my mouth to see if I can fix the situation, but she doesn't even let me do that.
私がいいって言うまで話さないで
Don't talk until I say so.
何言ってるのさきうるさいわねユウカ
Shut up, Yuka.
あなたは黙って
Why don't you just go draw your little pictures like you did back then?
さき
Saki glares at Okihiko, whose shoulders shoot up with a start. Kurumi runs over to Saki and clings to her.
さきさんやめてやだよこんなの見たく
I don't want to see you like this, please.
私に触らないで
Don't touch me. The next instant, she thrusts Kurumi away. She throws Kurumi right onto the stairs. Kurumi gasps loudly and stares dumbfoundedly at Saki. Kurumi! I run over to Kurumi. Saki is in a daze, still staring in shock. Just then, Haruka comes rushing down the terrace and quickly helps Kurumi up. The slender Haruka takes her hands gently and strokes Kurumi's
大
back.
丈夫
Are you alright? Kurumi begins to sob heavily. Haruka glares sharply at Saki. She stands up and starts to get closer to Saki. I automatically hold my breath.
近寄らないで
Stay away from me.
何よ
What is it? Get the hell away from me. I have no business with you, you damn clone. Clone. In that instant, it feels like the world has stopped. She says Haruka's a clone? An existence created by using part of some other person's cells to artificially fertilize an egg. Duplication, so to speak. Copy. Haruka's a clone. I recall memories of Haruka from a few days ago. The Haruka who watched water dripping from the faucet. The Haruka who drenched her feet in the breaking waves on the beach. Her sweating face as she pedaled the bike. The enthusiastic Haruka who forgot herself as much as she could when she went fishing with me. The Haruka who asked me to kiss her. That face, that blushing face. That same Haruka is a clone. I look at Haruka, her expression unwavered, as if she's accepting it. Me and the others look at Saki with dubious eyes. I'm not lying. I know about it. I know. I can't believe it. Why don't you look at her face? It's practically written all over it. Haruka. Do you understand, Oyuhiko? This is the true nature of that girl that you claim to love. Suppose she's a clone, so what? Everyone knows that there's 1 to 2 clones for every 1,000 human grade school kids. Also, 9 years ago, a law was passed that legalized the fertilization of clones. That's right, Saki-chan. It'd be best not to say such trite things. This is something our generation sees as normal. It's not something to be scorned. The existence of clones is legal. In the past, those who created clones were accused of having committed a grave sin, and the clones themselves were also persecuted by humans. But why? Okihiko's and Yuka's defense sounded a bit off. It sounded empty, forced. It sounded like Haruka was the first clone they'd actually known was a clone, so they just pulled whatever facts they had on hand to create a so-called defense. Though, I'm no better. She's still the first person I've known as a clone, as well. Saki's whole body shakes. She opens her mouth. Splendid. What a splendid group of companions the seminar has. Saki, wait! She sees Saki begin to run and Yuka chases after her. They head down the road towards the summer house. I can't see Yuka anymore. She runs past us faster than a raging storm, leaving us stranded. An awkward atmosphere hangs in the air. Though Oyuhiko had said clones are not unusual in our society, he still looked rather shocked. The girl he liked is a clone. It's obviously not something familiar to him, so of course he's bothered by it. Kirumi continues to sob heavily. She probably still doesn't comprehend what had just happened. I pick up the pieces of the broken basket. Suddenly I feel someone glancing at me. I find Haruka staring straight at me. Is what Saki said earlier true? That is why I have no heart. Haruka. Because I am just somebody's replacement. Because I'm nothing more than a copy. That's not... Surprised? That's not true. That's not true, Haruka. Haruka quickly looks away from me, slowly opens the front door. I run after her automatically. Haruka! How do I put this? Don't worry about it. Whether you're a clone or a copy, Haruka is Haruka, even if you don't have a heart. Haruka becomes surprised and takes a sharp breath. After that, I feel a little hesitant. After that, After that, I've run out of things to say.
嬉しい。誠に、そうい
I'm happy to hear that from you, Makoto. She closes the door, the sound of her footsteps fading. I stand frozen in place. I'm worried about Haruka's expression just now. She didn't look happy at all. And with that, I'm gonna call it good. That's going to be it for today. Thank you all for stopping by. I had a bunch of people come in and out. It was a good time. I don't know how far we'll get in the next stream, but this game, the first half of this game takes a really long time.